Good afternoon. Wow, it's like a library in here. Good afternoon. How are you guys? Is 2020 the year that we collectively agreed to abolish the question, how are you? Like I'm okay and not okay? I'm kind of like this every day. Like what's gonna happen next? I'm gonna get head lice? An earwig? Do you know they call them earwigs because they can't back out? If one gets in your ear, it cannot show itself to the door. What is that? What's next? Dolly Parton's a criminal? McMenamins cancels tots? Nah. It can't happen. It can't happen. Welcome to EDCO PubTalk. I'm Shannon Kelly. I'm so glad to be here with you today, this afternoon. Where am I? I promise I'm okay, Roger. I promise I'm stable. We are wearing clothes. We're wearing shoes. Biggest pub talk of the night. I have only a couple of rules for you. You have to stay on the mask unless, you have to keep your mask on unless you have a microphone. Okay, so this is the rule. Well, you're the oh, you have a microphone. Okay, so Jen's okay. The second rule is you have to stay in your assigned room unless you're headed to the restroom. Everybody got it? This room's like very well behaved. I'm not worried about you. Like, I will not mess it up. The third rule, you will vote for 3 companies later tonight. Are you excited? Me too. Me too. Okay, before we jump into our program, I want to acknowledge the land that we're standing on here in Central Oregon is Warm Springs, Paiute, and Wasco land. We are grateful to the original stewards of our land. May we enjoy this land together in peace. Big ask these days. The other thing I get to do tonight is introduce EDCO CEO, Mr. Roger Lee, for a Director's Minute. Come on up, Roger.
Thanks so much, Shannon. So yeah, I was going to ask that question, but yeah, it's kind of like, it's a question you don't want to ask this year. So I've heard the comment from several people, it's like, what's next? The land to be covered with frogs or the sun blocked out with locusts? Yeah, I don't know. But in addition to the serious pounding our local, state, and national economies have taken, I personally have lost 3 people close to me this year, including my mom. So it's been a rough year. 2 close friends have lost their children. None to COVID. All were other medical issues or disease. But why this year, only God knows. So, but amidst all the seemingly endless stream of bad news, we see some silver linings too. So I had the chance to chat a little bit last week with Julianne Horner. Julie, you're out here in the audience. With our newest PubTalk sponsor, Providence Health, when we're going to hear more about what's going on with them later. She relayed how the hospital system and Providence's remarkable research arm are uncovering new treatment techniques that are helping more effectively treat acute COVID-19 cases. And I don't know if I'm reading the wrong journals or whatever, but I seem to hear very little about what's happening kind of on this in the trenches. As folks look to treat this real time. It's proof, though, that like the business community, the healthcare industry is adapting and innovating even in the face of great ambiguity and with high stakes. So speaking of innovation, Laird Superfood became the first Central Oregon-based company since Advanced Power Technology, later Microsemi, back in 2000, Bank of the Cascades back in 94, to say they went public. So with an initial public offering, yeah, it's pretty cool. So they did their IPO this week on the New York Stock Exchange with a sisters-based company, raised $58 million, is what I'm told, with this IPO, and saw the new stock climb 85% that day. Where was I? Jeez, you think I would have some inside information about when they're going on and how to invest? Jeez, I could like doubling my money in one day. So you might think that homegrown company has raised more capital than any other recently in our region, and you'd be right. This new injection of capital is on top of $42 million they've raised from private investors already. That's 9 figures, folks. It's $100 million. Pretty incredible. The runner-up this year is no slouch either. They just Ben-based Dutchie just raised, a $35 million, a paltry $35 million. For a total of $53 million so far since I got started 3 years ago. So pretty cool to see our local companies raising that kind of capital, providing that kind of growth for our economy here locally. So we're here again in person at PubTalk. I just have to give more public kudos to our OSU Cascades intern. I don't think I've had the chance to do that. Cameron Burns, who started his studies, who started here in studies at OSU Cascades with computer science, but now is pursuing a business degree. So we're fortunate to have Cameron on our team this summer and fall, stretching his legs a little bit on both programming, working on our website, and BVC, as well as business things with Brian Vieira and Young Companies for the Venture Conference. So don't be stealing him away just yet, but his diverse experience, he's got an awesome attitude and work ethic, would make him a great addition to any team when his internship at EDCO comes to an end, which I know Aaron Riley would say would be never, but sorry you don't get to make that call, Aaron. And last but not least, I'd like to just give a shout out to Lori, Sarah, and the entire team here at McMenamins, along with our own Aaron Riley. She told me not to say that, but I will anyway, because she's been pulling her hair out how to make all this happen. Make real in-person this facet to PubTalk of being together and talking with each other and so forth physically, make it happen. So events are never easy, and now they're just downright challenging with literally changes every day on a variety of fronts. So to all of you, thanks for making PubTalk and this monthly celebration of entrepreneurship part of your week. Shannon, back to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Roger. I love this part. It's so cool. PubTalk is the most resilient event in the nation. Can we all just agree on that? We are crushing this thing. Yes, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Mom, for being here. Thank you, Roger. It's nice to hear some good news. Yeah, I got to give it up to Erin Riley. I don't know how she has been managing all. I mean, I do because she's Superwoman, but it's really quite impressive. So thanks for having me. All right, everyone. We have timed pitches on the stage. Even the title sponsors are timed. So we're going to start with them. We're going to see how they do, and then we'll get a sense for the rest of the night. First up, Jordan Smith from VLOC Systems. Where are you, Jordan? Do you not know? Do you not know? I believe you have.
It used to be 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
It's less than that now.
1 minute and 38 seconds.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm Jordan Smith with VLOC Systems. Thank you guys for coming out to PubTalk. Normally I come up with a couple of jokes about lawyers and bankers this evening, but I just want to kind of spend my time up here with some gratitude. I really have appreciated watching Central Oregon companies over the last 9 months totally pivot and change and innovate and all of the things that I get to see. Usually I go help companies grow and develop and learn how to do things better, and I've been learning a lot this year. So if you're a client of ours we've gotten to work with, thank you so much. It's been an absolute blast. So next month is the Venture Conference. Who's going? Yeah, cheers, claps, everyone scream, yeah! So that'll be good. Thanks. I mean, can you guys believe what EDCO is doing in the midst of all this? They keep all the events running that they can and do an amazing job. We all still have a beer and pizza tonight. So a huge thank you to EDCO and McMenamins for putting this on. Erin Riley, another shout out, wherever she is, for doing that. Again, Jordan Smith, VLOC Systems. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks, Jordan. Yeah, it really is truly remarkable that we get to have this special time together. I know that for me, when quarantine first started, my words went away very quickly, embarrassingly. So, anybody else? Anybody else found themselves like running into a friend at the store, just like, ugh. Yeah, it's alarming. It's alarming. All right, next up, Kurt Barker from Carnot Peterson. Where are you, Kurt?
Thanks, everybody. Who else looks forward to BVC almost as much as Halloween, or maybe more? Anybody? I mean, thank you for being so resilient, EDCO. This night, too, is one of my favorite of the year. We've been, again, Kurt Barker with Carnot Peterson. We've been sponsoring for so long that it feels a little strange to reintroduce us, but I do see lots of new faces, so just real quick, 16 lawyers here at a private law firm, all based in Bend. There's not much we don't do or can't do for your business. Criminal law, private family divorce, nope, but just about everything else. So reach out to us if you think you need some, we can help. Let's see. Oh, and one quick public service announcement. I got to give you legal news. We have a really critical deadline that is kind of being sleepy and quiet right now here in Oregon. 1 week from today, every employer must have, see, nobody knows, an anti-harassment policy, not only in place, but that has these nasty little elements that the legislature added for you, like statutes of limitations. You got to spell that out. You can find one if Google Bureau of Labor and Industries model anti-harassment policy. They got a sample for you, or have us customize. But thanks, everybody. 1 week from today.
Thanks, Kurt. 1 week from today. 1 week from today, get your anti-harassment policy butt in gear. You're doing great. I really appreciate it. Can I give you my address and you stop by my house? I have a 75-pound retriever. It's a lot to keep up with. All right, next up, Corey Allen from Columbia Bank. Come on up, Corey.
Hi, how we doing? All right. This is weird, I'm not gonna lie, but hey, we're here. Yeah, I'm Corey Allen, commercial team leader for Columbia Bank. We work on financing for companies. Try to help as many local companies as we can as far as financing real estate, term loans, lines of credit. We'd love the opportunity to chat with you if you're in the financial services or if make financial decisions for a company. I had a bunch of good notes. Everyone ruined it between Roger and Jordan and Kurt so far. So who is having an amazing 2020, right? I mean, things are going so well right now. Let's see, COVID, yeah, all that good stuff. But did anybody pick up on the relation between the two companies Roger mentioned? So one delivers marijuana and one is a food company. I mean, both are doing very well. Now, granted, it's healthy food, but I could see, like Laird Superfoods, I could see them be like, oh my God, let's get some of that. Okay. Anyway, a couple of I was like so, everyone's so negative on 2020 right now, so I actually Googled like good news in 2020. There's a couple things. Tiger King, like who saw that one coming, right? I mean, that brought the whole office together, right? I think it was the second biggest shock to Carolyn Baskin's ex-husband. Drive-in movie theaters, those are back, really popular, right? 2 zoo pandas, apparently, they don't like to, in captivity. COVID has got them going right now. So, I mean, we're making progress. Zoom calls, I mean, I've definitely seen people get up and use the bathroom on a Zoom call, and you can't take that away. When you see a coworker get up and use the restroom, not turn off their Zoom camera, like that's buried. You will not get rid of that. Anyway, the biggest news, yes, obviously, BVC, super exciting. Thank you guys so much for coming out here and pitching. Super excited about it. Lastly, I'll just say, again, Columbia Bank, Corey Allen, we are open for business. We're certainly looking at new opportunities, doing lending, and we'd love to chat with you and get a chance to earn your business. So enjoy the night. Good luck tonight. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Corey. What's the Tiger King? I don't stream. No, I'm just kidding. I kind of know what it is. I have Instagram. All right, new to PubTalk sponsorships, but certainly not new to EDCO. Supporting EDCO in big ways is Julianne Horner from Providence. Welcome, Julianne. Come on up.
Hi, everybody. Well, we are honored to be able to sponsor and be a part of PubTalks. It is something that is near and dear to our hearts to know that those that are going to be coming up on this stage are the ones that are the problem solvers of our community needs today and maybe even tomorrow. And that is actually in our DNA. I'm going to tell you a little story about Providence because you probably don't know. Providence was founded by 3 nuns that came from Canada to the Pacific Northwest to help and serve the community. What they found was healthcare was a huge need. So they started Providence. So you fast forward over 160 years, we are now a $22 billion entity. We have a health system that is in 7 states and serves over 5 million patients. Our health plan is we serve and manage and insure over 600,000 Oregonians and Southwest Washingtonians. So we are a large corporation, and we understand that those are going to take the stage tonight could be the next Providence. So we are excited to watch their success, not only tonight, but as the years come through. So we really appreciate you letting us be up here, telling a little bit of our story, and we're going to be helping you kind of learn a little bit more every single Pub Talk. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Julianne. It's good to have you, Julianne. I have to say, I love the sponsor minutes. It's one of my favorite things, especially because I'm like, what is Jordan going to say? What is he going to say? Should we get to the program? We have cash money up for grabs. That's exciting. It's like extra exciting right now. So we're very pleased to support homegrown Central Oregon startup companies and showcase how they compete with applying companies from around the Northwest. So first, we want to say thank you to the Portland Seed Fund for sponsoring the early stage investment. They have raised it again this year, so we are at a $30,000 minimum investment at BVC. It's so exciting. And we have 2 expert judges in the mix this evening. They will be voting for 2 of the 5 finalists headed to the BVC stage, leaving 3 for you all to determine at the end of the night. So please help me welcome back my friend Jen Lynch. And Jen is with the Portland Seed Fund. She is our official Central Oregon delegate. And new to BVC September PubTalk, but certainly not new to BVC, is Nitin Rai with Elevate Capital, who will actually be joining us. Hello, how are you, Nitin? Can you see me? You probably see the back of my head, huh? I'm not doing it right.
I love your jokes. You're funny.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm so glad. I like your backdrop.
Thank you.
All right. Once we've heard from all the companies, voting will open. Results will be tallied, and then we will announce it's at the end of PubTalk tonight. So wait for my cue. Companies will be presenting tonight in alphabetical order, and they each have 3 minutes to pitch, followed by 3 minutes of Q&A. We will only have time for 2 or 3 questions for each company, so some of which will come from the judges. So please keep your questions short and relevant to the company. And remember, these are early stage companies, so they may not have all of the answers just yet. And I will be moderating those Q&A, so just know that it's got to come through me. Okay, so make them good questions. All right, our first early stage company is Adhere Gear Technology Corp. This is Robert Buchanan from Portland, Oregon. He is deploying shared use luggage and travel gear for passengers to create a safer and cleaner environment for their personal items. Please welcome Robert. Where are you, Robert?
Thank you. In 1969, we took a rocket to the moon. 50 years later, we're now aiming for Mars, but our luggage hasn't changed yet. It's still the same box, the same wheels, the same handles. What if we can make it stronger, lighter, cleaner? What if it was smarter? Hello, everyone. My name is Robert Buchanan. I'm the founder of Adhere Gear Technology. I'm here today to share with you the future of how you're going to travel with luggage. Now, our company's focused on the deployment of a shared-use smart luggage network for passengers. When developing the luggage for this network, we're focused on 4 fundamental questions that just absolutely plague travel. What's inside? Where is it going? How much does it weigh? Is it clean? Our solutions: smart cameras, smart GPS, smart weight modules, smart UVC ultraviolet light, all encapsulated in a clean, sophisticated shell. 10 times stronger and half the weight of traditional luggage. This is the luggage we're meant to have in the 21st century. Now, the market is positioned extraordinarily well for these innovations. Travel as a whole is a $7 trillion industry with a volume of 2.6 million passengers per day. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about COVID? Despite COVID, we're still clocking in at 1 million passengers per day. That's 365 million people in a year. More than enough volume to see a shared use model do extraordinarily well. So who's our target customer? We're aiming for the business class first. They make up 28% of the market, traveling 3 to 5 days per trip, 6 to 9 trips per month. Collectively, they account for almost 75% of profits. So what's our go-to-market strategy? It's a shared use B2B model. For $9.99 per passenger per day, a company can offer this smart luggage as a travel work perk to its employees. What's clever is that you'll pick it up and drop it off from where you work. No changes in your routine. The luggage itself is designed for 52 cycles with a 5-year shelf life and a corresponding maintenance plan. With shared use, we can take a sophisticated device and make it affordable and accessible to the average passenger. Hospitality, rental cars, airports, airplanes, heck, even our restaurants, all shared use networks in travel. So let's talk traction. We have a working prototype. Our next steps are to produce a refined version, slim it down by 70%, produce 100 units, and enter it into our pilot testing program, which will focus on PDX and LAX Airport. We're working directly with Autodesk Inc. and are in direct conversations with JetBlue, Travelocity, AirAsia, and many of the facets of the government. Our team is made up of a collection of professionals with a background from NASA, Intel, Disney, Michelin, Hyatt Resorts, and PDX Airport. In summary, Adhere Gear Technology is here to ensure that those that frequently travel are equipped with the very best tools needed to navigate that experience safely. Thank you.
Nice pitch. Nice pitch, my friend. Jen, I think you have a question, yes?
Yeah, that is awesome. Thank you. So tell me what it's like for someone in some, tell me what it's like for me. Am I picking up the bag at work, taking it home, or is this all concierge? Just explain a little more of the user experience.
Absolutely. Being the shared use, so you would pick it up and drop it off at work. So it was designed so that it could be very easy to access, especially something that size. We looked at a lot of different models like Redbox and some other areas to really make sure that that experience was seamlessly integrated into your daily routine. So.
And we talked about how today when you take a smart bag to the airport, they pretty much just hassle you about it from the minute you walk in the door until the minute you get off the plane. How is this going to be different or better?
Absolutely, it's a great question. Our target and what we're doing now and will continue to do is work directly with government entities, FAA, TSA, Homeland Security. Those are our top priorities. That's fundamentally one of the biggest differences between us and other smart luggages. In terms of the battery capacity, working with them directly makes it very easy for us to ensure that we stay within compliance and not only meet their expectations but exceed what they're looking for. Our target is to ensure that working with them, we can solve the problems that they have. And they do have some serious problems when it comes to passengers and travel and luggage. So.
Thanks. And Nitin, what's your question?
So explain I want to extend this out to like the employer. So what kind of customer validation have you done and which employers have you talked to about this particular, I'm assuming they would offer this as a benefit to their employees. I mean, where would they store all this luggage? I mean, who would manage and coordinate all of this? Like, can you talk more
Absolutely.
about that?
So check-in and check-out is through the application. That's a link to the device. So you would reserve it with the app, and then you'd also be able to pick it up using the app as the identifier. It's imprinted to you throughout your trip. Going back to the office structure, so all we need is 75 square feet in order to retrofit basically your standard closet for these things to be stored. Each luggage touches 100 people, so in terms of how many do you need for a company, it doesn't take that many. A lot of times they're not traveling at the same time, so based on the number of employees that travel and the frequency of that travel, we can determine how many luggage sets they actually need on site.
So how many employers did you talk to?
Yes, so we've talked to about 10 at this point. The first 5 are definitely our top guys. Our number 1 is Autodesk Inc. because we have a strong relationship with them. And what we're doing now is we're compiling those lists of all the companies that are interested in offering this type of benefit to their employees, especially on the health front, given the UVC that's built in.
And how does it work for employers who have employees now that are completely virtual and may decide post-COVID that they don't want them back? For example, Twitter and some of those large employers have already told them they can work from home forever.
Yeah, that's a great question. So statistically, we're at 50% staff back. And so that leaves another 50% that's up in the air. Let's just say, maybe half of that comes back, maybe not. The jobs that did leave, a lot of them were capable working from home from the get-go. And so they weren't really part of that traveling group. But even with the 50% we're at right now, knowing that we have almost 1 billion people that travel just domestically in our country, that's still 500 million people that are travel this year. So more than enough opportunity to make something like this work.
Thanks. Great questions from our judges. Any questions from the audience tonight? Any questions? You mentioned the UVC. Can you tell us just a little bit more about that?
Actually, yeah, absolutely. So it's ultraviolet light, UVC. We're actually also working on seeing if there's some UVA that we can put into it. But it's an on-demand type of feature that's made to sterilize, the items that are inside the luggage to mitigate some of that exposure that happens knowing that people bring personal belongings into a public space. We also have the outside is designed to be this double-coated TPU, which is a naturally antiseptic material, so that during luggage handling in that process, that the germs try and mitigate that exposure as well for passengers.
It's very, very cool. Have any questions come up from the audience? Where did you get the idea for this? Is this personal for you?
It's personal. I've personally been a diabetic my entire life, insulin dependent, and after decades of going through that, I had to learn how to pack and track and organize, and eventually it went from a challenge to becoming a skill and then a niche. So decades later now, I'm kind of putting those insights to work.
It's a very cool idea, and we're really glad to have you. It was a beautiful pitch, so thanks for being here, Robert, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
My God, you are doing great. You really, It's good work. I really appreciate it. I don't know if I said hi to everybody watching from home. I hope y'all are cozy. I hope you have snacks. I find that when I'm watching a program from home, I get through the snacks in like the first 20 seconds, and I'm like, shoot, this club sucks. Where's the server? And there isn't one. Sponsor BBSI wishes all the pitching companies good luck and says it feels good to have football, PubTalk, and BVC back in our lives. I couldn't agree more. Our second early stage company, Coursera, Abrar Ahmed, is from Portland, Oregon. He's creating verified digital identities for remote and in-person identity verification to increase customer satisfaction and deter identity fraud, saving time and money. I want to hear more. Where are you, Abrar? Right here. Come on up. Oh, no, I do that, you know. I'm low to the ground, I'm quick.
Well, have you guys ever been on the phone with the bank or your cable company, or matter of fact, any service company where they ask you to verify your information, your date of birth, your social, the color of your dog's eye or your best friend, right? And then it gets better. They transfer you to somebody. Guess what? They ask you the same questions again. Yeah. Come on, seriously? Isn't that just frustrating? How many of you have experienced that? Let me see a show of hands. Well, what if there was a simpler way where we can share our private information one time, just one time, and we're done? And after that, we don't have to share information again to prove who we are. That is why there's Coursera. We're experts in identity management, cybersecurity, cryptography, and cloud computing. We're providing an identity service that is a personal digital identity credential called Cozy. Think of Cozy just like TSA PreCheck. You got verified once, and then you get through as a trusted traveler really fast. Cozy operates very similar to that. You can get a Cozy in about 90 seconds, and once you have it, you can verify yourself with your biometric without sharing any information, right? Cozies will be distributed by service providers directly to consumers at no cost to them. We will charge a fee to them, a one-time fee, and then a transaction fee every time the Cozy is used. We have three unique advantages, what we call the 3 Ps, and it's not the Paycheck Protection Program. It's portability, privacy, and persistency. It'll be a credential that is portable across all service providers, different platform, and different use cases. It's privacy preserving because we are not going to store any sensitive information, social, date of birth, or anything like that. It is persistent once you have it and it stays with you. Our research indicates that the identity verification market is a $30 billion opportunity. It's a huge opportunity for us. We've already been validated by our initial customers, who are some of the top credit unions in the Northwest. By the way, 100 million people use credit unions. Not only did they validate our solution, they actually gave us funding initially to go produce a product. And now they've actually given us signed agreements to purchase a product. In addition to that, we also received a strategic investment from a global fintech application developer in fraud solutions, and we believe we're going to reach millions of people through them. We started our seed round this summer, and we've already received more than 60% of the capital. On top of that, our customers have doubled down, and they're going to give us additional funding for development. Cozy, private, portable, secure, the only digital identity that you need. Thank you. Open for
Awesome pitch, Abrar. I wanted to cheer for you as you were speaking. I was like, yeah, it's a great idea.
You know, 3 minutes is tough.
I know, 3 minutes is tough, but Portland friends are coming in hot tonight. So, question, Jen?
Yeah, Abrar, I thought of you today because my bank asked me what street I grew up on, which is could be one of any, yes, and also feels rude. So these credit unions presumably have massive security teams, internal teams, and who feel like they're doing a good job with whatever they're doing today. So how do you convince them that this is a solution that's better, cheaper, faster, and at least as secure as what they're doing now?
So actually, that's a great question. Let me get closer. So initially, when I approached them, I talked to them about security. And interestingly enough, the first thing they said to me was, our members are really upset and we need a better experience. So we flipped our model and we talk about user experience, efficiencies, and then security. And security comes in layers. Of course, one single credential can't do it all.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Nitin, did you have a question? Any questions from the audience?
I do have one question.
Nitin has a
Abrar.
question.
It's to you. So how much progress have you made in the last few months? You know, I've talked to you a couple times in terms of customer traction.
So like I said, we've done the validation. We're actually now finishing up and we're starting our pilots. And we've also had initial betas with the credit unions directly with their consumers who gave us rave reviews on how their product is. One customer actually is a member of Chase Bank, and they say that was much better experience than Chase.
Well, that's something.
Brad,
they felt very
can you
secure, too.
can you just tell us really quickly
mean-
how a customer gets a cozy, how the experience works for them?
Right, so getting back to the cozy will be distributed by, let's say your bank. It will be in-app. There's a setup, which is basically scanning your driver's license, and we verify that driver's license, we do a selfie match, and then you get your cozy. And once you have your cozy, it basically resides on your mobile phone, and then whenever you need to get verified, you'll get a secure push notification, and you do your biometric, and it sends that secure information back to the bank.
Very cool.
And it
So
happens
they're
very
not-
fast.
So based on this, they're not going to ask you what your mother's maiden name is, or as Jen pointed out, like what was your street address if
All
your
of that is
place-
gone. All of that is gone. That is a fundamental thing that really drove me crazy. And I said, why do I have to do that every time? Matter of fact, I forget the answers to the questions myself. You know, I had a really interesting one. Who was my first girlfriend? I said, am I going to share that with? No, my wife will get pissed. So let's drop that.
I love that you said it's a selfie. You can make a little selfie. It's like, this is very hip. This is very hip.
We're
Jordan,
hip. We're from Portland.
that was your question, was about the selfie?
No.
Oh, the mechanism. And then I had another question. Yes.
So if I call from a different phone, I am cozy protected, but I call from a different phone number.
If I call from a different
Will
phone
you-
number
are
and
you
I'm
gonna
cozy
call-
protected,
Well, it has to be from your mobile phone. If you do call from a landline, there are ways, but it'll come back to your mobile phone. You have to have that. It is mobile phone centric. Remember, your biometrics is on your mobile phone.
if
I
you're
mean, you
calling from your mobile phone, are you your grandma? What's happening? Or your landline? Are you on your landline? I think I have one more question in the back. Oh, Jordan, you're back.
Yeah. How is that different from like Microsoft Authenticator?
How is it different from Microsoft Authenticator or Duo?
So that's
or-
just an authenticator with tokens. They do not pass on a verified identity information, which is what actually gets passed back to the bank. They get your name, they get their membership number, whatever else. Remember that.
Okay, so there's essentially nobody else doing this.
I hope so.
We're all rooting for you. All right, Abrar, very awesome pitch. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much,
Best of
everybody.
luck. Thank you for being here. Great job. Okay, I'd like to say sponsor, CO, yes. I'm like, oh, hi, how are you? Sponsor COAR, Central Oregon Association of Realtors, would like to congratulate their 10-year Building a Better Central Awards winners this year, especially their Lifetime Achievement Award to Dana Bratton of Bratton Appraisals. Congrats, Dana. Is Dana here tonight? Congrats, Dana. So I'm hearing somebody whispering. Oh no, okay. She might be here, she might not, but she's doing great. Our third early stage company, Foxface Systems, Alicia Venez from Camas, Washington, providing an easy and affordable online platform for the affordable housing compliance process. Alicia, where are you? Come on up. I can't wait to hear from you.
Thank you.
Take it away.
Can I adjust this? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Is that good?
Yes. Okay, everyone. So I tried to explain what Foxface does in 3 minutes, but it would be impossible for me to explain affordable housing or the American housing crisis in that amount of time. So what I can do is tell you 2 stories. First story. When the country was starting to work through the COVID-19 pandemic, I had a client of mine say, Alicia, I can't do this lease up. How will I house people when they can't stand in line to apply? What will I tell owners when their building sits empty for months? And I was like, what? I don't know. And like so many other conversations in the pandemic, we let out a sigh before just hanging up. The pain that my client felt that day was real. And for many affordable housing applicants, it still is, which leads me to my second story. Right now, while I tell you what I do for work, there's a family in Portland that's living in their car. Their car is parked outside a building that they're already qualified to live in. But they can't move in because of the affordable housing compliance process. Sorry, I can't breathe a little bit. Okay, so they can't move in because of the affordable housing compliance process. Okay, one more time for the people in the back. Everywhere across America, people are living in their cars, in homeless shelters, and in tents because the affordable housing compliance process is too arduous for them to get proper housing. It's not because property managers don't have units for them. It's because property managers don't have a proper streamlined compliance process. And that's not just a problem for them. It's a significant issue for building owners because when buildings sit empty, owners face lost revenues and hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax credit recapturing. That's real pain, guys, real pain all across America. But my business degree, my 15-year tenure in housing, and my time as an entrepreneur has taught me that where I find pain, I also find revenue. So I gathered a team of experts to help me, including my husband, who's director of asset management for a local housing authority, and together we came up with a solution. Our team started with low-income housing tax credits, and we created an online system that is used for property managers and will look sort of like TurboTax for the compliance process. $25,000 would help me to develop the front end of FoxFace so that I can beta test with the clients who have already promised to work with me. And I know that there's a viable revenue stream there because they are just as excited as I am. They know firsthand that we have a housing crisis, and like me, they want to fix it. I forgot something. Hold on.
It's in there.
So I need that $25,000. I'm asking you to move me to move FoxFace to the next round. Not because I need the money. I mean, I do. But, but the truth is I'm asking because that family I told you about, they're still living in their car. And it's been a month. Help me revolutionize affordable housing with technology because everyone deserves stable housing. And together, we can provide that. I am Alicia Van Ness, CEO of FoxFace Systems. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Alicia. That's amazing.
Thank you.
This is an incredible solution. This is what I love so much about this event is that it's very solution focused. So thank you for bringing this to the stage. It looks like Jen has a question.
Thank you, Alicia. That was awesome.
Thanks, Jen.
Tell me who you are selling to. Is it the housing authorities? Is it developers? Who is it?
Yes, so all of those. So housing authorities, yes. Developers, yes. But really the product will be used for property managers to move their clients through the compliance process.
I got it. And so, and how expensive is it?
So we don't know that yet, but we are fee-based, and it will be per unit per month on an annual contract.
Okay. And what? Why doesn't it exist yet? Right? Are they doing this on paper right now? Is it in Excel? Like, what is the current?
So a combination of both. I do have two major competitors. But they require the use and purchase of the entire software package, and we don't want to do that. I don't want to provide all the other stuff. I just want to get people housed, and this one system will get them from waitlist, eventually, waitlist all the way to move-in, and then we'll let the other people take it from there.
Okay, got it, because they may be handling the application on the front end, or they may be handling, rent collection on the other side, and you just want to run right down the middle.
Yes, correct. Okay. I don't want the heaviness of all of that.
Nitin, you look like you really are thinking this one over. You have a question for Alicia?
Yes, because first of all, nice job.
Thank you.
Really absolutely love your idea. So there is a company in Portland called No App Fee, and I thought that they were trying to do something similar. Are they not?
So I used to work for No App Fee, and I will tell you that they work with the background screening process. So by the time they come to us, they will go from background, which may or may not be used with No App Fee, which is now called One App Oregon. We get them through the compliance process. So by then, their background check, their criminal check has already been done. It really is making sure that their income and assets, or their lack thereof, has been continued from there. So with that, affordable housing goes down to the penny. So if you make too much money, or you're predicted to make too much money, you can't move into that. And that's third-party verified with DSHS or employers or whatever the case may be.
And who is going to develop your software? Have you identified people who will do that for you?
So right now, I have an MVP that's being actually made by my brother-in-law. I'm set to launch by January. But later, I have lined up a real software company, Foremost, who actually developed one app as well.
Okay.
Great. And do I have any questions? Yes, Jordan. How do you get the platform delivered to the candidates? How do they find out about it? How do they
Right,
find
to
out about
clarify, are you talking about applicants or property managers? Applicants.
How do you get them aware that there are property managers that use this system faster?
Right. So the property manager will provide a link to the applicants. With housing, especially affordable housing, you can't just pick anyone and say, I plan to live here, here's my compliance paperwork. You need to get approval first and then permission with that to move in.
Great question. Any other questions from the audience tonight?
Hey, Shannon, we have a question in the theater.
Rooms? Okay. Alicia, thank you so much. It was
Thank
great.
you.
This is a very cool idea.
Thanks,
and I'm rooting
guys.
for you.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being solution-oriented. Thank you, madam. Wonderful to see you again. My fourth early stage company, Grid Rival, this is Ross Fruin from Portland, Oregon, a social gaming application for the motorsports obsessed, fusing fantasy-style gaming and, wait for it, betting with content and built-in social functionality. Ross, where are you? Come on up.
I'm right here.
Oh, well, hi there. Oh, look, he's ready.
How
He's
are
ready
you?
to race. Hey, Ross, how you doing? Take it away, all right?
Cool. Thank you. Thanks again for having me. Again, my name's Ross. I'm the founder of Grid Rival. And before I get started, there's something you should know about me, which is that I am addicted to motorsports. But I'm not the only one. Every year around the world, there's actually 1 billion consumers that are reached by racing, which is probably a surprise to most of us because motorsports here in the U.S. is kind of a lot like soccer was here 30 or 40 years ago. It's just not that popular relative to the rest of the world. But the reality is that globally, motorsports has a massive following. Formula One alone has a larger audience than the American audiences, the NFL, the NBA, and Major League Baseball, and has a larger audience than all of them combined. But the problem that we're going after is that although motorsports has one of the largest audiences in the world, it's been mostly ignored by one of the fastest growing and most exciting industries in the world, which is the fantasy sports and sports betting industry. Grid Rival is the first fantasy sports and betting platform that's been designed exclusively and authentically for motorsports fans, which is an important distinction because although fantasy sports and betting are extremely competitive spaces, where we've seen opportunities that have proven to exist is by going after niche audiences in an authentic way. Probably the most relevant example of this is Dream 11, which is a fantasy sports product that has valued over $1 billion. It's focused on a single sport, which is cricket. Since we launched our full product on iOS and Android about 6 months ago, race fans have been loving what we're doing. We have over 4,000 active users that we've acquired at an average cost of less than $1. Nearly half of our active users have come from viral growth or referrals, and they're logging on to the application 4 to 6 times a day during race weekends. But the timing is actually one of the most exciting parts about this opportunity. Grid Rival is in the middle of 3 really huge markets that are all going through either significant growth or significant transformation. The first is gaming, which is expected to generate $250 billion in revenue this year, of which 40 alone will come from mobile games. The second is fantasy sports. Recent transactions in the fantasy sports space are valuing companies as high as 50 times revenues. And globally, fantasy sports are actually still kind of emerging relative to the United States. Third, motorsports is going through what I would call a digital revolution, and really for the first time in nearly 2 decades is engaging a new generation of digital savvy race fans. Lastly, and probably most importantly, is we've accomplished everything that we've done to date with a team of just 2 full-time people. Grid Rival is my second startup and my CTO and co-founder's 4th startup. And partnered with us is an advisory team that includes industry experts like 32-time IndyCar winner and 2003 world champion Paul Tracy. We've accomplished a lot at Grid Rival in a short period of time, and with only a little bit of money, imagine what we can do with your help. Thank you.
Thanks, Ross. Is that Laguna Seca behind you?
It is.
Fancy. I like your setup. That's great. Questions from the judges. Jen?
Yes. How much does it cost to put a Grid Rival sticker on Danny Ricciardo's helmet?
It's certainly probably in the millions.
So how do you acquire customers at less than $1 a pop? Where are you finding race fans?
Yeah, so my background in my last company I ran was a media buying agency, and we managed about $20 to $30 million a year on Facebook, Instagram, and Google Ads. So I had a lot of experience there when we launched. So the majority of our paid users, at least thus far, have come from Instagram and Facebook ads.
Okay. And wasn't there some major consolidation in the sort of fantasy pick'em app space in the last 12 months, and maybe some SEC violations? What's the kind of the opportunity? Are we fragmenting away from DraftKings now, or are they just going to release an F1 product and?
No, I think this is a great question. I think, like I said, where there is opportunity, if we were just to come out the gates and produce a purely like betting only product where someone can make a proposition style bet on, who's going to get third place in a NASCAR race, there's plenty of places to do that already, but they're really not experiential. They're not social. And that's really been our approach. So to answer your question about consolidation, yeah, there's been a lot of stuff that's going on. The efforts that we've seen from the people like FanDuel or DraftKings is that they take the same games they built for football and they kind of try and jam racing into them, and that has worked for them in hockey and Major League Baseball and some of the other things, but it hasn't really appealed to the motorsports audience as much, primarily as a fact to my personal belief is that, before DraftKings existed, there was people that were doing this type of gaming for fun, for free, for decades, that they were able to convert into paid players. And Grid Rival is really one of our biggest challenges and also one of our biggest opportunities is that we get to build that enthusiast fan base and then convert them into bettors.
I want to just remind folks who are watching from the theater that there is a microphone in the theater. If you have a question, Kelsey will come and find you, so just raise your hand. All right, theater friends? And Nitin, it looks like you have a question.
Sure. Are you a race car driver yourself?
I wish. I was not born wealthy enough.
Not just you.
What's the market opportunity for, how big of a business can you build?
Yeah, I think, so our projections really at kind of maturity, if we take what DraftKings has done with football and we look at really what percentage of overall football plans are playing fantasy sports or betting, and we apply that with some obvious deductions for that this is a little bit of a newer market to race fans, we really think we can get 400,000 monthly paying users. And if you look at the average monthly revenue that's coming in fantasy sports and betting on platforms like this, it's about $31 a month. So you multiply that out, it's $150 million a year in revenue. And then you apply some of the multiples in the space, assuming it stays like that of, you're between 20 to 50 times sales, gives you an idea of
what is 400,000 of the total space? And are you talking about just the United States or global audience?
Global audience, it's probably when you say total space, I'm thinking of total amount of race fans that would bet on sports. It's probably 12 to 15%.
Of what is of the 400,000 or what?
No, sorry, of a larger audience, of a larger pool that are potential people that would come and bet
how big is that? How many million?
Yeah, in our estimation, it's about 15 or 20 million. There's not a lot of amazing market research on it yet because, again, this is fairly new to the motorsport.
So, do the same thing, or are you the only one?
No, we're the only one right now.
Okay.
Very good. Any questions from the audience? If you were going to be a race car driver, what kind of car would you drive?
For certain Formula One.
Well, obviously.
If you're looking for a brand, I'd probably be on the Mercedes team.
Okay, nice.
Even though I'm wearing a Red Bull shirt.
Hey, sponsors are sponsors. Nitin, you have a follow-up, Nitin?
No. I was going to tell him I have an AMG GTR, so.
Oh, all right. Good for you. Wow.
Okay. We're getting this party started.
We should go for a ride sometime.
Sure.
Hold on tight. Wear your helmets. Any questions from the audience? Okay, I think this is a really fun idea. So thanks, Ross. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for calling in.
Pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Good luck to you. Sponsor SGA. See, I miss you. See that the thing, it's not the same. Sponsor SGA CPAs has been a full-service public accounting firm in Bend for over 30 years. In addition to income tax prep and consulting, SGA offers cloud-based accounting to small and medium-sized businesses. Reach out to learn more about their virtual financial officer program. Fifth early-stage company, Innovate.ag. Steve Mantle from Walla Walla, Washington, is empowering growers with data, bringing together disparate and on and off farm data, enabling farmers to make informed management decisions based on machine learning. Steve, come on up. Is Steve? Oh, there you are, Steve. All right, welcome. Take it away.
Wow, who's cool, blingy?
It's mine.
That's nice.
It's nice, isn't it?
Wow, that's
a silver lining to I know, it's a whole fancy thing for my face.
Way to get it done. I like it. Well, good evening, everybody. As a child, my Australian grandparents, both biologists, helped me understand how our generation has a responsibility and a challenge to protect our resources across the globe so that our next generation would have clean air to breathe, clean water to drink, and plentiful food for their children. Today, over 70% of our water is used to produce food, and we're seeing huge stress on water supplies. Population growth is exploding, and the UN tells us that food production needs to increase dramatically over the next decade. Clean air, predictable weather is no longer something that we all take for granted. This puts immense stress on farmers as they work to grow our food supply. With the last couple of weeks being an example, when I was down here in Bend, where heavy smoke resulted in a 75% reduction in light, affecting photosynthesis for grapes and apple production as they're headed toward harvest. It is not business as usual for farmers. I'm Steve Mantle, founder and CEO of Innovate Ag. I spent the last 12 years at Microsoft developing new markets using data and AI, and I left last year after seeing dramatic climate change facing growers, knowing that we can use data to help growers rise to the challenge. Innovate Ag has developed a subscription-based ag data science as a service offering for farmers of high-value permanent crops. Apples, grapes, some of you guys are drinking some of that tonight, nuts, all crops that depend heavily on labor, water, nutrients, and they're sensitive to rain and extreme temps. Our platform draws upon Microsoft Cloud Computing and ag investments. It consolidates data from weather, soil, and irrigation sensors, imagery from satellites, drones, and farm equipment, chemical and labor records that represent 80% of a grower's costs, and it overlays crop and disease models through research partnerships that we have in place with WSU and OSU. So rather than looking at 15 plus apps to manage their business, we bring a farmer one app that shows the unified data with actionable insights that impact their top and their bottom line so that they can manage toward even better outcomes, higher production with more efficient use of labor. So from there, our roadmap is to enable farmers and their partners to visualize data in new ways, including virtual reality. In my youth, I spent a couple of years working on farms, and my time at Microsoft, I saw the company start to invest in new tech that could be put to work for farmers. I brought together a farmer focus group, and they told me, hey, big data, AI, blockchain, those are great buzzwords, Steve, but start with telling me what the weather is going to do on my farm. And so these farmers shared that they were looking at several apps just to help them understand the weather each day, and I realized that we could work toward simplifying microclimates for their crops and build from there, and so that's where we started. So through partnerships, we already have access to data for hundreds of farms in Washington and Oregon, and we're pulling in data for new farms every week. And with your investment, we'd be able to hire additional data scientists and developers to break through on new insights. That's us, Innovate Ag, empowering growers with data.
Thanks, Steve. Innovate Ag, right? That makes good sense. I got it now. I'm back in the room.
You're on it.
Jen, how about a question from you?
Thanks, Steve. So who buys this? Is farmers buy a lot of things from distributors? They buy a lot of things from salespeople. Are they going to buy this from you, or do you have to work through one of those supply chains?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So there are a lot of farmers, and one of the things I learned at Microsoft is you got to have channels to scale, right? And so by all means, initially we're working directly with farmers. We've got to do that and have this closed feedback loop to get things right. Where we plan to scale and where we have partnerships in place with is with sensor providers and equipment providers that are already selling into those today. And so then they can basically use our data platform to add more value to their sensor or their equipment they're providing today. And then we're also exploring working with chemical and nutrient distributors that are also providing fertilizers and that type of thing.
You mentioned working with farmers who are planting permanent crops, so trees and vines.
Right.
And so how are their capital expenditures in a year different than someone who runs and are they more likely to make an investment like this because they do have such a high fixed cost of their vines or trees?
Yeah. They do. I mean, to your point, they have really high OpEx, right? And so 70% of their costs are on labor, right? So really vulnerable, and then you've got immigration policies and everything. They're even putting even more stress on that. So anything that can actually help alleviate that stress as a service is interesting to them. But certainly they do have some CapEx as well, but less so than your traditional row crop.
How big is the market for in this initial phase, if those are the sorts of farmers that we're working with?
Yeah, so overall in Washington State, where we're starting, apples are the #1 crop in the state by a factor of, I think it's 3 or 4x higher, and then underneath that comes wheat, and then blueberries are somewhere in there. We overall, when you look worldwide at the market, it's a $20 billion precision ag marketplace, and that's growing at 15% CAGR.
Nitin, any questions from you?
So is there anybody else doing the same thing? What's the competitive
So
landscape like?
in row crops, there definitely are, and that's why we chose to start in permanent crops. Great question, Nitin. What we're seeing so far in specialty or permanent crops, it's a pretty short list of folks that are doing it, and it's pretty fragmented in doing so. We haven't yet come across anybody that actually is pulling in not just the sensor data and the imagery data, along with the actual labor data as well.
And what's your revenue model? How do you charge for this? And
So
what do you charge?
we would charge per acre on a subscription base, on an annual subscription basis.
And is that something that's just like a checkbox with these farmers? I mean, is it, how taxing is it for their OpEx?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's when, again, you look to how much they're spending on labor, we're laser focused on really how can anything we do ultimately impact their bottom line. And so with that 70% of their costs being focused on labor, if we can even just move the needle a tiny little bit, or in some cases, it's not even just the cost, it's labor availability. So last year in Washington State, you had tons of apples. It was a bumper crop, but a lot of apples, you may have driven by orchards where you see apples still on the tree in November. They just couldn't get to all of them. And so our view is ultimately we can help them capture revenues, and in some cases they aren't even seeing.
Do you already have some ROI in place that with some experiments or tests that you've already done?
Do we already have some what? I'm sorry, Nitin?
Some return on investment data already based on, I don't know, models that you built?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have prelim, and really that's our next piece is focusing and getting that grower feedback so that they can really show the feedback of, okay, this is where we're doing that. We're doubling down in the area around, as simple as it sounds, apple and grape counting. So we're working with a partner that basically has equipment that they can run through an orchard at 20 miles an hour on an ATV. And they can just basically put one of their employees on that ATV, and it does imaging, and it returns for them within a day basically what the apple count or the flower count earlier is on in the season. And the growers are already starting to share back with us is, look, this is fundamental for us because they're really focused that 70% of their costs in labor, probably like 60% of that is spent on thinning and pruning, and the other 30% or so is focused on harvest, and ultimately that really kind of hits to that. So we see that as a foundational layer, and then we put the sensor data, start to put that on top of it, and it's a softer ROI, but we think that we've actually found pay dirt with that piece that's really actionable for them.
Awesome. That's great. Any questions from the audience? Would you be advertising on datafarmer.com or maybe farmers only?
I haven't hit Farmer's Almanac.
How did you get into this? You like wine, that's it.
Right? You know, I think it just came back to the story with my grandparents, right? And down in Australia, the land down under, that is a country that is really stressed when it comes to water. And so it was just ingrained on me early on around how much we're going to be facing on that. And so that's both my grandparents are gone, but yeah, let's pick it up and roll on with that.
I love that. Well,
Hey,
I really.
Shannon, I think
Yes.
do we have time? I think we have at least one question. I know we've got one from the online audience.
Great.
We have two
You've mentioned
in the-
labor issues, shortages are the big problem. How does this help with that?
Yeah. So back to Nitin's question, really when we start with the basics of doing count of the crop, not just at the beginning of the season where we can look at flower counts, where we're looking at bloom, and that ultimately informs how they need to thin, both through chemical application as well as with labor. So it's starting with that, and then from there it goes to actually predicting what their yield is going to be later on in the year. And so it's just building in from there as a baseline.
Great. And Matt, there was one other question.
I think we may have a question from the theater. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have two over
We're ready
here.
for you.
Okay, hold on one second.
Bring it on, theater
We're not
folk.
hearing it in
Yeah.
here. Hold on one
This
second
is my
here.
favorite.
Right?
So it's hold on, hang on one
While
second.
they're
Matt,
doing that,
Matt, we're hanging on.
we've
Okay,
got
hold
trucker caps.
please.
We've got trucker caps over here if you guys want to grab one on your way out. Innovate Ag.
Hold on. We're gonna swap mics here.
We're
Hold
swapping
on.
the mics out.
Stay tuned.
So, do you have plans to go beyond apples and grapes? Is that like the next phase?
Yeah, so starting with apples and grapes, I mean, that's big in the Northwest, right? Washington, Oregon, and California are leaders on that. We see then moving into nuts. And again, the common theme with all of these are really high value crops on a per acre basis. And so I'd say nuts would be next, and we're probably going to stay out of the row crop piece. There's plenty of people in that space.
Okay, great. And are we ready with our question from the theater?
Hey,
The
we think
theater.
so. Let's hear it for the theater group over here.
Yeah, theater.
Hey, great product, and I think it's so timely, you know, with everything on our minds about water and resources. I see a phase 2 of this business being, you're managing the front end of water landing on the ground. What about water on the ground and how farmers can share it?
How farmers can share water.
Yeah.
Boy, there's a few ways I can go with that, and
It's a big topic, I know.
It's a big topic, but yes, I mean, for instance, we've had landlords contact us that are spending $1 million a year just on electricity to pump water, right? And so they see an opportunity for them to actually trim costs by more efficiently using water in the right places at the right time. And in doing so and using less water, Washington and Oregon are a little different, and you get down to Australia and New Zealand, different countries handle water rights different ways. So it's a complicated topic, but ultimately by using less, they can potentially be able to use water in other places based on their water rights.
Awesome question. Intense question.
Right?
Yeah, for real. It's like
Watch out for the
farmers
theater.
sharing water? What? I know, watch out for
What
that
are you
theater.
guys
They'll sneak
watching
up on
over
you.
there? That's an
They'll sneak
intense
up on you.
movie.
Thanks for that. I'll be grabbing a hat.
Thank
Awesome.
you. All right. Well, thanks for being here. It's just, I wish you the best of luck. It's such a cool idea.
Thank you
We'll
very
be
much.
keeping an
one
eye on
more.
you. Oh, we have one more question.
One more, all right.
Hold your applause. Yes, this is from the theater.
Also from the theater. Ooh, that's so loud. I just need to say I'm a native Eastern Washingtonian.
Awesome.
So with the system, what are your projections for the amount of water consumption reductions?
Yeah.
You kind of answered my question with the previous one, but like to what amount do you think farmers would be able to reduce what they're using?
It's something that we're very actively working on the water reduction. What we've and the reason why we're collecting that data through soil moisture sensors largely, and through imagery analysis. The reason we're not doubling down on that yet is we've had growers say, yes, that's interesting to us, but ultimately it's still kind of fuzzy. And when we sit down with growers and say, all right, well, let's look at your water bills. Let's look at your electricity bills. And at least in Washington State, it's amazing how little they actually have to pay And so there's not actually a huge incentive, at least in Washington. I think it's starting to percolate, pun intended, in Oregon, and definitely down in California, and even more down in LATAM, where there's water shortages. But we definitely see, we've got scientists that are looking at that and absolutely see there being a tangible impact, but I can't actually give you a number right now to substantiate it. It's a great question, though.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I was also born in Eastern Washington. So
Hey!
weird. Right, Steve?
Rah, rah! Go Walla Walla!
Thanks for being here,
Thanks,
Steve.
so.
It's great to have
Appreciate
you.
it.
Want to take a quick moment to give my judges a shout. You're incredible. And Nitin, this back and forth action that you're doing is just, it's really doing it for me. It's really giving me a special happiness.
I like to relax, and then when I'm listening,
I want you to relax, Nitin. I want you to really enjoy yourself. All right, we would like to extend a huge thank you to all of our EDCO members. Private memberships currently represents nearly 33% of EDCO funding. Our work simply would not happen without your support. If you are not a member, we would like you to strongly consider becoming a member and joining our movement today. EDCO membership underwrites a variety of support and resources, including EDCO's work to help build a prosperous and sustainable economy. 50 plus events, just like PubTalk, all geared towards engaging our business community, and yep, they're even making those happen in the pandemic. I mean, we are doing this so hard. It's so great. Supporting local community directors in 5 communities, supporting the Venture Catalyst and the Stable of Experts program for entrepreneurs. And we have some new members that Heidi has been working with lately. I'm going to go ahead and list those off. Cascade Valuation Services, Circle of Trust LLC, Kernut Stokes, Mighty Sales, Northwest Key Property Management, Optimal DX, Paylocity, Stavron Trading Company, Stickerlicious, Thimble Peak Advisors. And we have a couple member upgrades to note as well. Ben Sauce, I mean, it's such a good name. It's so good. Ben Sauce and Brian's Cabinets. If you want to hear your business called out at PubTalk, visit EDCO's Director of Membership, Heidi Hausner, for registration or for additional information, and join us. All right, our 6th early stage company, Masa, Trong Ho, and Trong Sharbo from Portland, Oregon, the first online farmers market, bringing farmers markets to people via an online marketplace. So you can think Etsy for farmers. I'm so looking forward to this. Trong and Trong, come on up. Where are you?
Hi, my name is Chang Ho. This is my co-founder, Chang Shaba, and we're building the first online farmers market, masafresh.com. With just $1,200 in seed capital, we've turned into a cash flow positive company in just 12 months. And I know what you're thinking. Are you really the first one? Yes, for the first time, a local farmer can list products, manage orders, and benefit from our fulfillment service to customers. They always own their account and run a seamless direct-to-consumer business. Better yet, our fees are 10%, very low compared to a 40% markup like online grocers like Milk Run that they use. Sorry. And now shoppers can enjoy the farmers market experience with the comfort of their home. They can pick and choose from multiple vendors, get to know local farmers and producers, and enjoy fresh goods never stored in a warehouse. And then our startup costs are very low because we don't store or buy products up front. And so that we can scale very quickly. So how do we work? How does Masa work? On Wednesday is our order deadline. On Thursday morning, optimized routes are assigned to contract drivers, and Saturday morning, vendors bring orders to us at a pop-up fulfillment station at the PSU Farmers Market. Excuse me. And yeah, I think that's it.
Our starting team then put things together in boxes to get it ready for pickup and delivery. So how do we earn money? Our vendors pay us 10% commission for every sale. Shoppers pay us a flat fee of $7.50 for delivery, and for on-site pickup, they would pay 4% of their total order value. We launched beta in September 2019 and officially in April 2020. In just 4 months, we have gained 1,600 users and nearly 1,000 orders. Our monthly revenue growth is around 33%. Last month, we just gained $17,000 with average order value at $70. From Portland, now we have expanded to deliver to Vancouver, Milwaukee, Lake Oswego, Tiger, and Beaverton. We scale fast and cheap by partnering up with farmers market, who promote us to their vendors. The vendors, it just takes them 15 minutes to set up an account. Then as soon as their product listings are up and running, they're ready to sell, all at $0 cost. This onboarding process happened one time, while these vendors already attend 5 to 10 other farmers market, which allows us to expand to different cities very easily and quickly. We are a capital efficient company driven by results. And again, we achieve all of this organic growth with just $1,200 in seed capital. So with your $25,000 of investment, we expect to grow 20 times in 18 months. And we would love to share more about our customer acquisition strategy in the Q&A session. Thank you.
Oh, this is so cool. This is just so cool. I mean, and such an amazing idea that you just happened to have, and then it was completely supported by what happened in the pandemic. Am I right? I mean, that's wild.
Yeah, we saw, significant growth this year.
Yeah.
And sorry, because we're it's been a while since we're in a crowd. So we're I don't know how to behave anymore.
I know, it's are these, wow, real people. Jen, I know you have a question. Go ahead.
Thank you. Awesome. So you said that the farmers markets are marketing you to the farmers, because that would be my main question, is how to get the attention of hundreds of farmers who are already selling at farmers markets just in the Pacific Northwest. How do you build a relationship with them and get them to trust that your service will get their product into consumers' hands and not be ruined along the way? Or, how do you build that trust?
So we've actually spent more than 2 years doing ethnographic research and actually volunteering and interviewing farmers. It's really important to us that we immerse in their experience so that we build something that works with their currently existing workflow instead of creating something completely opposite. And secondly, we've identified partnerships in the farmers markets, like the Portland Farmers Market, or I think Oregon Association of Farmers Market, that these organizations actually give us the credibility to talk to farmers. Yeah.
And how do you find consumers? How does somebody learn about massafresh.com?
Right, so we utilize localized strategic partnership with local organizations. So again, with farmers market, they help us to promote to their audience, hey, you don't have time to come to this particular farmers market this weekend, but you want to support some local farmers and producers that you love, come on Masa Fresh. We also run a lot of pop-ups, 10 pop-up farmers markets in the last 10 months in different neighborhoods around Portland. We collaborated with residential buildings and neighborhood associations to do that. And we have seen from 5 to 10% increase in customers signing up right after an event. In-kind trading with local micro-influencers, that's also something that we do. We help them experience Masa and then let them share with their followers on social medias and create organic followers and shoppers for Masa.
It's just incredible. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you've done all of this with no capital, effectively. So what are you going to use investment capital for? Why raise money? Why not just continue to build these relationships and grow organically?
We definitely plan to expand into 5 cities in Oregon and 1 city in Washington State by the end of 2021. And so with the investment, we want to spend on a robust customer acquisition system, multi-channel, offline and online, and also really invest in our technology that's proprietary so that we can serve a bigger audience size.
Very good. And any questions from the audience?
We
Yes.
have one in the theater.
Okay, hold one. We'll take the theater question.
Hey, this is a two-part question. Can you speak to your shipping partners and also their capabilities as far as fresh produce? Can they do beef? Can they do seafood?
That's a really good question, thank you. So right now we have got 100 vendors and more than 500 products offered for the customer across 15 different categories, from seafood, meat, vegetable, flowers, all different things that you can imagine, even like hand-spun socks from, from a permaculture farmers in Southeast Portland. And yes, with shipping company, we are already in the process of chatting with partner company like Postmate so that we can prepare for a bigger plan to expand nationally.
Great, thank you.
Great question.
But
Thanks,
currently, we do have proprietary technology to work with contract drivers. And it's actually much less stressful for them because we give them a 2-day notice, drivers, and an optimized route so that they can actually maximize the kind of their time. Instead of having like a kind of spontaneous, request and then go to, the destination like Postmates or Uber Eats.
That's great. And Nitin has a question.
So I want to talk about your margin. So obviously you have all this cost related to the drivers and delivery. What are your net margins right now? And in terms of your pricing of the produce, how competitive is it with, say, a grocery store or a high-end grocery store?
So for the first one, so we charge 10%, from the vendors. 3% of that is actually for transaction fees, so we actually net 7%. And with the delivery drivers, we charge customers $7.50 as a flat fee, and we pay the drivers a flat fee as well per order, so it's $5.25, and then the rest of that kind of comes to the cost of goods sold. Like
Okay,
boxes
so you're not discounting, you're not playing the e-commerce, what some of the e-commerce companies are doing, which is they basically eat the cost, a portion of the cost of delivery as part of their sales process. So you are covering your costs and maybe making a little bit of margin on delivery as well. Okay, and then in terms of the cost of the produce that you're selling, how competitive is that with the grocery stores?
Thank you. That's a great question. So think of Masa like an Airbnb or Etsy for farmers. So they set up the price. We don't dictate the price, and that's the beauty of it. So if you come on Masa, you would see a bunch of kale for a bunch of organic kale for $2.75 or $2.50. And the customers actually love it. They buy a bunch of them, and they find out what they love. And a lot of them have come back to us and say the level of quality and freshness of this vegetable is so superior to what you find in Whole Foods.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so is there like a review base or like a review system in the software as well?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes, we're working on a review system that's, basically we want to reimagine the farmer's market and the CSA experience. And how do we do that? How can we actually capture that social and fun experience of going to a farmer's market and knowing your producer, knowing your farmer? And I think the review system is going to be one of those elements.
It seems like there's a lot of opportunity for this to become very interactive. It's such a cool idea. Okay, I know we had a question in the back. Yeah, I love it too. It's great. Are you experiencing any pushback from the farmers market? Is this interrupting their sales? Any sort of resistance there?
We thought that at the beginning, but we were wrong. The farmers market people actually love us because By the end of the day, you want the local farmers to do really well in general so that this whole ecosystem of local small-scale farmers can sustain. So imagine if they already make a trip to the farmers market and sell it to people who already come to the markets, and still they can make extra sales to people who do not have time to hang around the markets or stay at home busying with their kids or going to their kids' soccer games. Then it means that the farmers just do one same effort of getting to the markets, but getting a lot more money, and that helps the farmers market to maintain their business in long term. And actually, Portland Farmers Market also starts selling some of their merchandise on our site to create this really local environment and feeling on the site.
Oh, it's so cool. Okay, any other questions? I think
We have one more in the theater.
one more from the theater.
Great presentation, great idea. How does your service compare with CSA's?
I think CSA usually gets lumped in with the subscription box model. We want to reimagine the CSA. And for us, I mean, really the farmer has the freedom and flexibility to list whatever product and at whatever price that they want. But we do not have a subscription service to the customers yet. So right now, I mean, they can still sell like a box of produce with a variety of different products at a fixed price to the customer. So it's kind of a CSA model if you're thinking of a subscription box. But you can still pick and choose whatever you want. I think that's one of the biggest feedback that we get from the customers from our research is that the CSA subscription model is cool, but then after a while, they experience with food waste because sometimes you don't really use a certain thing.
There's a lot of onions and potatoes.
Do not
I
need
feel
that
you.
third week of cauliflower.
And so
We don't
actually-
need it.
It's a lot.
Exactly, and a lot of times it becomes, like an inconvenience in a way, and the freedom to choose is the value.
Right, like a lot of people transitioning to a CSA model, it's such a learning process trying to eat that way, and then along the way you're like shamed because like the onions are going bad and the trying to pawn off your potatoes to your neighbor, and it gets weird. So yeah, I think this is brilliant. I'm just so happy to have you both here. Good luck. Yeah, I can't wait for Central Oregon farmers to get a hold of this. This is very cool. Agricultural Connections used to have sort of a pick and choose option, and it was just so awesome. And it did go away because it was hard for them to manage or to keep up with it. But this is so cool. Thank you very much, and thank you very much. All right, our seventh early stage company, MindCurrent. Saurabh Katari from Beaverton, Oregon, is providing private, personalized, real-time suggestions from experts to enhance employee performance and reduce stress. Saurabh, where are you? Get on up here. Oh, come on up. Welcome.
Hey, Nitin. Oh, boy. So you just heard the introduction, so I'll just go straight into it. We've been described, MindCurrent has, by NPR as the Fitbit for your brain. And I'm going to unpack that for a little bit, but what the heck is that? So imagine if you woke up, first thing in the morning, you shouldn't reach for your phone, but we all do it, okay? And when you reach for your phone, you actually see a message. Hi, Shelley. And this is from MindCurrent. Your peak performance today will be between 9:45 in the morning to about 11:15, and you might get a little tired right around 4:30. Okay? Imagine that. Now, let's take this a step further, right? What if before your performance starts to drop, before your personal stress or anxiety or fatigue kicks in, you actually get advice from an expert, 90 seconds or 2 minutes, really, really short. And it's personalized and it's private. No one else ever sees it. That's why we're called the Fitbit for your brain. That's what MindCurrent is. And so over the past 2 years, you're like, how's that even possible? Am I at Star Trek? Like, what the? Over the past 2 years, 25,000 beta users, that's what it takes in machine learning, have helped us build these models that allow you to identify, analyze, and predict stress and performance. And so what do we use? We actually focus on working professionals. That's why we started with employee stress, because we start with your calendar and activity data. If you have it, we'll take your biometrics. Again, just complete privacy, you don't have to worry. And then mostly we look at how and when you take these expert suggestions. So let's apply this specifically to employees. Why? Because in the US and the European Union, we are spending more than $977 billion. That's the spend by companies on healthcare. And I'm looking at Providence, they're like, yep, we know that. It's been good for us. Healthcare, on employee absenteeism, which is at an all-time high right now, because everyone's at home, right? And employee burnout, which unfortunately has had a huge toll actually on nurses. It's one of the only professions where people are willfully quitting. They just had it. It's all because of employee stress. So the problem is actually so urgent now that other healthcare providers and mental health services platforms are actually asking us to analyze their data. You're like, what? You're a rinky-dink startup out of Beaverton. But they don't have it, and they don't have the time to go build these machine learning models. They didn't look at this problem the way we did. And that's an entirely new revenue stream for us in 2021 because stress has gotten off the charts. Okay, so where are we? We're beta testing right now, as I said, with healthcare companies and mental health service providers, but we're also testing with high-stress industries like first responders, yes, the police. They need help right now in this regard. And finance companies, and of course, tech companies, because they'll pay for it, so why not? And this is super exciting for us. In 7 days, we invoice our first set of early adopters. They will be our first set of paying customers. So this is a huge, huge moment for us. But I do want to round this out. There's two other guys who should be here. I founded the company, but I could not have done this without them. And they can't. They both have high-risk members in their families for COVID. So I'm going to represent them. Our CTO, the guy crazy enough to build a machine learning system like this, is Daniel Cunningham. He's one of the original architects of internet poker. So Daniel rode that all the way to IPO, and he retired. He came out of retirement to build this with me. Because Daniel and both his sons are on the spectrum. And there's nowhere they can get consistent data on how they're doing except this. Our other co-founder, who'd be here, and he's much bigger than I am, is Dr. Drew Brazier. He's a performance and behavioral psychologist. And Drew basically does this. This is Drew. Mindcurrent is Drew just multiplied to 10,000. The thing I love about Drew, even though it's not his job to sell, we have never lost a deal when Drew has been in the room talking to the customer, because they're like, can I just get sessions with you? That's what he does. So for us, this is a huge moment. We need to get from our beta base of customers to 100 small and mid-sized companies. And all the founders here know how hard that is right now. And then we're going to raise our seed round. As an AI company, then we take off, but we won't get there if we don't get from this beta to our first 100 companies. I'm just going to sum up by saying, none of us predicted this, but I can't think of a better time to bring a company to market that uses AI to reduce stress.
Thank you. And your voice is very soothing.
Thank you,
Very
Shelley.
soothing. I feel very relaxed right now.
You haven't heard Drew.
I want to. I'm into this. Jen, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. That was great. Yeah, my question just like
I know. I
flew
happen
from
to
my
care in the
brain.
world.
Okay. So you're selling to companies. I know. So you sell to companies.
Yes.
So how long does it take for a company to see an ROI from this? Is it in reduced absenteeism? Is it in retention? Is it in reduced healthcare costs? Like, how do they say, I know that Mindcurrent is working, and therefore I will renew my subscription to this app?
Great question.
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. It's actually why we didn't sign our beta customers up for the annual subscription. All of our beta customers that are turning into now paying customers are signing up for a 90-day pilot. And we have put the challenge on them. If we cannot show you that the identified stressors are improving across your population, we never identify employees. So it's always across the group. If we can't show you that, on day 60, we'll take Mindcurrent out and we won't charge you. So it's a 90-day ROI. And then basically by Thanksgiving, my job as head of sales is to close their annual contract for 2021.
Okay, got it. So they will eventually sign up for a year at a time.
It's a year at a time because we've subsidized the price. We don't have a direct competitor.
Yeah.
So we're going to just grow as fast as we can until Apple and Amazon are like, hey, wait,
So is this like a therapeutic? Is it a digital therapeutic, or is it just a
That's our partner.
headspace?
That's our partner. And that's also our partner. So think of them as our cousins. The top of the mental health, right, strata, the top 10% of your company are using Headspace. They meditate. They get up at 5, right? And if a volcano burst, they would have a plan B. They're just those people, right? The bottom 10% are in therapy. We've built Mindcurrent because the 80% in the middle are like, I'm not going to meditate, and I don't want therapy. But we, in order to serve our B2B customers, and I apologize, I'm looking at her, but it's her question. In order to serve a B2B customer, there's no employee left behind, right? So Headspace is a potential partner. We're working with smaller meditation providers. Therapy providers are potential partners, and we actually have some therapy providers. We are not trying to build these point solutions. There's too many. We're just trying to turn around and say, this is what this user needs. Let's just get them that.
So give me an example of something that person needs. Do they need to take a walk? Do they need to listen to some music? Like, what are some things?
Oh my gosh, so 80% of our beta users are women between 35 and 60, right? The number one, well, actually the number 2, because the number 1 is this cool video Drew created that just calms you, right? And it's just nature and music, but the beats bring your heart rate down. It's all psychological. The number 2 thing that has been popular, mom guilt.
Sure.
Right?
So how do you fix mom guilt with an app? Because I'm asking for a friend.
So,
Literally, my daughter has texted me 4 times asking for help with her dance class since we've been sitting here. Please enlighten me.
I mean, would you like to help her with her dance class? If you know the moves. So first of all, it's a really important differentiation. You can't fix anything, right? We're here to identify this is what's holding her back. This is affecting her sleep. It's affecting her parenting. It's probably affecting her intimacy as well, right, with her partner. All these things are being affected. We are helping her take the first steps of how you deal with mom guilt. If she's really into PTSD or trauma or postpartum, if it's serious, then we're looking at bringing in a partner. But if it's someone who just needs to learn how to be self-aware and self-discover, then mom guilt actually has 7 steps.
So the app has things in it already that can handle that low level of...
That's what the machine learning is she's personalized. Did she get better? No. Yeah. Let's try another approach, but the same problem.
Cool.
Waving his hand.
I know what Nitin's going to ask. Where's my money, Saurabh? He's one of our earliest investors.
Okay. I've got a couple questions, Saurabh. Congratulations on getting to monetization. So what are you going to charge on an annual basis? I'm assuming you're going to charge to the employers.
Yes.
And I recently used the Calm app.
Oh, that's nice. Are you calm?
It did make me calm.
Oh.
So I'm curious, how is it different than the Calm app?
Oh, it's completely different. So again, that's a point solution, is if you need help specifically for Calm, because Headspace destroyed them in meditation. If you need help going to sleep, Calm can help you, right? But if you want meditation, Headspace is the way to go. For us, Nitin, it's our job to actually tell you, after learning your patterns over the first 3 to 5 days, hey, Nitin, you should try this type of meditation. We are the entryway to all the wellness solutions. So that's why Calm's a future partner for us. I can't say specific big brands, but we're already reaching out to platforms like that we would work with a pilot population on. Now, price point. 9 months ago, we got out of consumer because of this, because the wellness space in consumer is crazy, right? So we actually thought we would have a bunch of competitors now. When we monetized, we still don't. So we've subsidized our pricing. A small business can get Mindcurrent for a year for $1,000, all employees, all the time. A mid-size gets it for $3,500, all employees, all the time. An enterprise starts at $12,000. That's $1,000 a month. Price is not why people are not buying Mindcurrent. Right now, we need to get to them. It's awareness. It's scaling up the company.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Nitin.
All right, do we have any questions from the audience? Any questions from the theater? Yes, Aaron. Does it work for event professionals?
The short answer is yes, but please talk to me. I owe most of my career to the events industry.
Aaron, please talk to me.
Yeah, I'm from the Cisco events team. My team got 2 Emmy nominations there. This is
I also
personal.
have a soothing voice. I also have a soothing voice. I have a really good partner idea for you. Laura DiCarlo, they're local. Anybody know? If you know, you know. Huh? Wink. Any other questions?
One from the online
One
audience,
from the
real quick.
online audience.
Online first, yeah.
How do you learn all this about people to help them?
So, it's running about 45 minutes to answer that. So first of all, there's only so much I can say because I can tell you more in December. By Thanksgiving, we're filing our first 2 provisional patents. So that's a huge deal for us. But in an essence, it's machine learning. We run the models relentlessly on the individual. And as soon as the user is doing better or worse, we switch and you switch and you switch. So there is no secret sauce. Nobody is like anybody else. That's why this doesn't exist. Nobody who's willing to do that, is to try so much machine learning on such little data. But I will say one thing, it's a great question. When we do learn about somebody, like if she's consumed mom guilt 3 times in a week, Minecraft actually asks her, what's your favorite thing to do with your child? It doesn't seem like profiling, because we're not selling them anything, but that's how we take the next step is, okay, that's where her relationship with her child is. And then we go on and on like that.
And so ethics for your AI, like what do you have in place for this? Has this conversation come up?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, so I can't name them, but a very large sports apparel company in Beaverton is researching this because they're massive and they do performance research, right? It's what they do. So for them, there are 2 things that are important. One, the AI does not make the decision alone. Drew and the 40 experts on psychologists, counselors, coaches, are the one that drive the end recommendation to the user so that nothing that's put in front can possibly do harm. The second is that it's what's called a double-blind system from a security perspective. You can understand people are going to hack us. This is incredible emotional AI data, right? And they want the privacy. So if you hack Mindcurrent, you'd see that somebody has been using all these things and it's helped her. Yeah, well, good for you. The other system looks at, this is what she needs, it's making a request blind. So from an ethics perspective, privacy in our system is built in. And I know for a lot of folks, they're like, what did he just say? But that's a very specific database setup where there's no linear connection between private data and recommendations or user behavior. The other is that we don't let the AI make the decision itself.
Very cool. Okay, any other questions?
Oh boy. Providence.
You're discussing and you say a large corporation and they want feedback. They want ROI on their investment.
Yes.
What are you able to give them?
So when you're talking to a big company, they want ROI, they want feedback. What are you able to give them?
So I think it's important to understand who's going to buy Mindcurrent first and who's going to buy it last. Right? So the companies that have terrible employee ratings that need this the most will buy it last. Because there's a basic question we ask when you want to sign up a large company. From an HR perspective, do you want to analyze your employees or do you want them to analyze themselves? And we don't tell them why we're asking, but if they say, we want to analyze them, oh, you want an HR dashboard? We have a partner that'll do that. There is no difference in the view between the end employee and management and HR. Everybody sees the anonymous aggregation. So therefore, right, it's really easy to see if it's working because you can't pinpoint it, so you can actually get people to use it freely, and it helps them. So you identify the stressors for that organization. 30 days later, has it made a difference? No, let's change things. 60 days later, has it made a difference? No, we're out. We need to walk away. If we cannot help the organization, there's so many other places we should be putting our attention.
So Rob, I really appreciate your
Thank you.
swagger. Well done. Thank you for coming, and best of luck to you. Swagger factor high. Lots of style in that presentation. Very cool, and great questions as well. All right, I hear we have a very special thank you in order for beautiful co-working space, The Haven. They just celebrated their 1-year anniversary. Congratulations. And they were very gracious hosts of this year's Upstart Day when 18 early stage companies presented to get down to the 10 you're seeing tonight here at PubTalk. So thank you, Rose, and the Rockstar team at The Haven. We appreciate you. Our 8th early stage company, Must Deliver. Carrie Love from Portland, Oregon, a digital marketplace delivering industry-leading clarity, control, and communication between shippers and drivers in the trucking business. Carrie, where are you?
I am virtual.
Here you are. Yay! Take it away, Carrie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm Carrie Love, as introduced, the co-founder and CEO of Must Deliver. Must Deliver is a digital marketplace that delivers industry-leading clarity, control, and communication between shippers and drivers in the $800 billion trucking industry in the United States. Our platform is based on patent-pending learning algorithm AI that facilitates complete price transparency, super important, and direct communication, also important, to the shippers and drivers. This allows for better matching in the beginning of the load match. Our shippers, our customer, the demand side, are provided with a large pool of vetted drivers, independent owner-operators, real-time shipping tracking, and a delivery ETA. Now, quick routing of paperwork also matters at the time of delivery to all the appropriate parties. Drivers, traditionally treated as second-class citizens within this industry, are powered with a free mobile app that allows them to directly express their load preferences, favorite lanes, their truck, their equipment, their schedules, and informs them what they're going to get paid ahead of time and when they're going to get paid. All drivers are rewarded to perform and excel within the system through in-app gamification features, which they are actively using right now. Automated shipping updates and direct in-app communication between the shipper, the driver, and the receiving agent, generally the customer to the shipper, mitigate all in-transit issues. All documentation is automated, paperless, and touch-free, #1 request from the drivers recently due to COVID. Our go-to-market customers are the small to mid-sized manufacturers, which out of that $800 billion number I shared earlier is $100 billion of it annually on trucking. This segment is particularly ripe for disruption because they're still using the traditional freight broker to book their loads, which is inefficient and opaque middleman system. And also, they are fundamentally being ignored by the large recent market entries of Convoy and Uber Freight, who are demand side first. Our technology is built. We have strategic partnerships in place on both sides of the marketplace to accelerate direct sales efforts to shippers and viral driver acquisition programs. We have a pilot shipper, national footprint. We started in Kentucky with them, one of their 5 locations currently, to prove our concept, and we are literally moving freight right now. Drivers are being signed up right now, and our revenue is on the horizon within the next couple of weeks. How do we make our money? Well, we have a 10% fee on all transactions through the platform. The industry average with freight brokers at the moment is 15 to 17%. And we are starting with load matching and load booking because it was the #1 concern, income security, with the drivers when we've worked with them for the past 12 months. They wanted to know that their income was secure, they wanted to know that they were supported, and they wanted safety. So we're working with providers right now with telemedicine solutions, which started before COVID, but is super, super heightened at the moment, as well as safe parking locations in Kentucky for our regional launch. For the shipper side, we're also bringing on other products, which will involve reports, analytics, and efficiency tips. So Must Deliver. We're democratizing the playing field and building trust between shippers and drivers and giving equal control to both of the parties, which is the first in the industry. Thank you.
Carrie, amazing idea. Thank you. Jen, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Jen.
Hi. So you were so excited about trucking things into places, which I adore. So,
I am excited.
So tell me, I'm curious. So what are the sorts of, are these, so people who even know like a little bit about trucking know that there's this concept of full truckload versus less than truckload. And which one are we talking about? And what are the sorts, when you say small manufacturers, like, and percentage of, these commission percentages, like what are we talking about moving? And what do those actually mean in terms of numbers? Like how much money?
Yeah, so let me talk about Ryan, CPC in the Midwest that we're working with currently. He does $2 to $3 million annually with a freight broker. He produces and ships gel packs to his clients for home delivery of food. So Blue Apron, you name it, those are his clients. So he partnered with us because when I called him to talk about this for a family connection, he had all of the same concerns as my co-founder here, who's a manufacturer. No tracking, no communication, delayed response. Now, his shipping is less than truckload, which is 64 billion, annually in the nation, and then also a mixture of full truckload. He doesn't qualify for, for annual contracts with solutions like Convoy and Uber Freight because it's so different. And so he basically has said, we can replace our freight broker with your solution because we're using independent owner-operators, which are over 500,000 in the country, actually, to service his loads.
Cool. So just to clarify, so he's spending like $3 million a year right now on those broker commissions, and you're saying instead of doing 15%, you're more like 10%. Like this is going to save him a crap load of money every single year. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Do you think, Carrie, that this will encourage truckers to start to work more independently and become owner-operated?
Oh, absolutely. So these truckers right now that I'm talking to, and I actually spoke to a couple today when they called to ask questions, they are owner-operators, which mean they hire up to JB Hunt, they work for different solutions, they have friends that are company drivers that want to own their own truck, and they have all sorts of concerns about not having in one place all of their loads so they can prove their worth. That's the biggest concern out there for them. They're constantly their worth is constantly being questioned by these shippers. So it's a referral-based industry, it's a relationship-based industry. I come from truck drivers in my family. It allows me to have this conversation with them, and it's genuine. So yes, in the future, absolutely.
Very cool. And Nitin, you have a question.
So how do you build this marketplace? How are you developing these relationships with the trucking companies or the truck drivers? How do you find them? And how long will it take you to build this?
Yeah, actually, they're really easy to find. They're very vocal about their concerns with the industry, which is price transparency and having worth. And so, additional to all the online options that in forums that I'm a part of, and associations that I'm a part of, I partner in particular with Kentucky Trucking Association. And Rick Taylor, the CEO, and I have been working closely. And through him and other associations he's identified with, we're already talking to 50,000 drivers in that region, in that corridor, which I handpicked because the heavy density of shippers, small to mid-sized manufacturers, as well as the heavy concentration of drivers.
So how many truck drivers? Say it again, Nitin. I just interrupted.
You said you take 10%. So what does that look like in terms of actual dollars?
Yeah. So our target within 5 years. We're at 100 million of net revenue, right? But what am I going to do to get there? So right now we're projected to bring in $5,500 of new revenue for September. And then constantly building on that and adding another 7,000 new revenue and so forth I have one sales rep working on shipping right now, and we're going to add another.
What's the average transaction? Like when you said 10%, what does that 10% mean in dollars and cents?
Well, it depends on the lane, right? So we're shipping to Chicago currently. We've had 10 successful shipments, and that's as $630 to $650, right? But then we're opening up South Carolina and as well as Atlanta in the next 2 weeks. Atlanta is $1,200 to $1,500 one way. South Carolina is around 9 to 11. So it just, what's that?
You get 10% of that?
Correct.
Okay.
Any questions from the audience? Any questions in the theater? Roger.
With those, what Nitin asked, how do you scale that up? What does that do to your operations as far as scalability, just to generate that revenue?
Okay, how do you scale up, Carrie? How do you scale this? And how does it affect your operations?
How do we scale? So currently we have one sales rep working on the demand side, and he already has scaled our tech is built. So a lot of the problems that we've anticipated and interviewed our drivers and shippers are addressed in the tech. So we're already scaling in that we have 2 additional customers on the demand side coming in the next 2 weeks because again they just see that value of in transit notifications, shipping tracking, and direct communication, which they currently don't have right now. So the tech is built and it's functioning in that manner right now.
It's amazing. Any other questions from the audience? Any follow-up from Jen or Nitin? I mean, this is pretty. Oh, Jen, go ahead.
Yeah. So how many drivers are on the platform right now? So when you, so what's October going to look like? I guess.
Yeah. So we have 42 drivers right now. They've been given referral links because this is a referral business, and out of those 42, there's 20 right now referring drivers. So the one that I talked to, Joseph in Kentucky, he has 14 independent owner-operators that he's going to be sending his referral link to in the next 2 to 3 weeks, or 2 to 3 days, excuse me. Wow. So,
awesome.
we're projecting to have 200 by the end of October, 200 drivers, and 1,000 by the end of the year.
It's so cool. I love learning more about the trucking industry. It's such a cool idea, Carrie. Thank you so much. Best of luck to you. I love and appreciate your energy as well.
Thanks. Thank you.
Very good. All right, special thanks to Matt Hand and team with Hand in Hand Productions for tonight's event, streaming into other rooms and virtually for those who couldn't join us in person. I hope you're making me look awesome, Matt. That's a trick question. My good side is my inside. Let's get real. All right, on to the last remaining semi-finalists. We saved the locals for last, and remember, this is alphabetical, so it just worked out that way. Our 9th early stage company, Tonsil Tech, Sydney Quinton Cox from Bend, Oregon, at-home handheld device to remove tonsil stones painlessly and effectively. Sydney, where are you? All right, Sydney, get on up here.
Bit lower so I can see you all. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Sydney. I'm an OSU bioengineering alumni, and it's so good to be back in Oregon. I am from the Bay Area for the past 3 years, and I have been working in pharma and 3D printed medical devices. And today, I'm here to introduce you to a gross problem: tonsil stones. Tonsil stones, we estimate about 10% of the US population has them, which represents a $500 million market. If you still have your tonsils, you could have stones as well. After all, we've estimated that 45% of people who have tonsil stones are removing them on a weekly basis, so maybe you should be too. Let's see here. When it comes down to it, we move forward with Tonsil Tech because we have determined that this is an important market because we know that people are suffering with tonsil stones. You're probably asking, what are tonsil stones? Well, they form in the pits of your tonsils. They kind of look like Yellow Nerds candy, except they are made out of calcified mucus, food, and bacteria. They cause pungent, sulfurous-smelling bad breath, pain and frustration when removing, reduced self-esteem, and they are not adequately addressed by the medical community, which is why we've founded Tonsil Tech, a medical device company to help remove tonsil stones. Our flagship product is an at-home handheld device to painlessly and effectively remove tonsil stones using our patent-pending soft teardrop and twist technology to painlessly and effectively remove them. They are 3D printed, which is awesome, which means we can get to market quickly. Yep, so right there, and then we've got another design here as well. When it comes down to it, we are prepared at Tonsil Tech to capture this market with the help of our CMO, Daniel, who is an experienced digital marketer. Also in business analytics. He will be selling our first product on tonsiltech.com, which includes the reactive tools, the mirror light so you can see, and the travel pouch so you can take it with you on the go. All for just $34.99. Our fabulous CTO, Jesse, is also working on a higher end option as well, And if you're still wondering if you or, maybe that person sitting next to you has tonsil stones, please check out our quick quiz at tonsiltech.com. And remember, we're tonsil stone sufferers creating solutions for other tonsil stone sufferers. Thank you.
Very nice. So can I ask, how did you have this idea?
That's a great question because it actually started back at OSU with Jesse, my CTO. It was our senior class project for our bioengineering class. They asked us to go out into the world and think of 10 things we wanted to change. Well, we both put this on our list because we actually both have them, and it's such a tangible thing that we can fix. We can help this 10% of the population that has this issue. And the $500 million per year market that we're going for is actually with the understanding that probably only about a third of people not only know, but also want to remove tonsil stones.
Very good. And Nitin, go ahead.
How do you figure out if you have one or not?
The pungent sulfur smelling bad breath. You can actually feel them as well. It feels like a foreign object sensation. And so I'm guessing that based on the number of people in this room, that there are probably like 2 to 4 people in here who have them, who probably know, and there are probably even more people than that who have them but don't know. The number could actually be as high as 40% of the population. And based on CT scans, they've actually said that everyone should look at them to see if they have them.
So how do you find it? Like, I can't look. I mean, I know you've got some mirroring device, but
So
go find it. I mean,
that's a great question, and that's why we are including the mirror light in our package as well, because you stick it on the mirror, you're actually able to see back there, and people, their tonsils start to form pits in their teens. It won't happen to everyone, but those lucky few, it will. And so then people work through the process of like, okay, I'm feeling something uncomfortable, I have bad breath, maybe someone has noticed. And so then you go through the process of taking one of our products or something else that people are using. For example, based on our 300 Reddit survey respondents, we've found that people are sticking their fingers back there, they're using Q-tips, bobby pins, chopsticks, you name it. They're doing everything they're not supposed to. So people have already found some sort of way to do this, but they're really desperate for a solution that is more reasonable. And it's frustrating because it's not adequately considered by the medical community in order to deal with this, because right now they say gargle water, try to nudge it out with a toothbrush, but you have all these people who are actually designing their own products, trying to come up with something at home, such as water picks, they're doing earwax removers, all sorts of different pieces.
My brain turned off when you suggested sticking a bobby pin down your throat.
Yes,
That's
we don't
disgusting.
want people to do that.
So is this a medical device, and does it require FDA approval?
Yes, it does. And we just recently figured out with the help of our counsel that the FDA, it is a 510K exempt device under ENT surgical tools. So we're really excited about that process. We also just filed our provisional patent yesterday, and that's why we were able to bring it here today. So we're really excited about the process moving forward, and we expect to be selling in Q1.
Oh, so what does your clinical trial process look like then?
We don't have to, actually. We have to register and list instead.
Okay, great. And you have and you hire a regulatory consultant, and that person helps you through
They've
this
been
process?
able to help us. We've been through the OSU Iterate program. We've been through the UW iCorps. We've been through the Biomed Boot Camp as well. And now we're in the OSU Launch program. And through all of those, we've been able to gain access to FDA consultants.
So how do you sell this? Is it dentists who will sell it, or is it like Invisalign and you just sort of buy it online, or like how's that work?
That's a great question. So eventually we do want to end up working with dentists, general practitioners, ENTs, in order to recommend this to their patients. But in the beginning, it's really a discovery process for people who are searching, what is this stinky thing that just came out of my mouth? So there are all these different discovery campaigns that we can do on Facebook and Instagram, for example. This is really the perfect tool to be selling direct to consumer. And that's why our CMO is going to be such a great asset for that.
And is it like a thing where I have to, like, are they going to come back? Like, do I subscribe
Yes.
to Tonsil Tech, or like, how's that work?
So at this point, we don't have a subscription model, but yes, tonsil stones can come back. The only real way to get rid of them is with a tonsillectomy, which for adults is actually quite a severe surgery. Some people that we've chatted with through our customer discovery have actually equated it to that of childbirth, which is terrifying. And so it really is an extreme process to go through. You actually have to wake up every half an hour to drink water so that the scabs on the back of your throat do not come off and start bleeding again. So it's really an extensive process for almost 2 weeks, and you have to have people there with you for the first 2 days.
And the tonsils are actually an important part of the immune system, so it's not an ideal situation to remove them.
You really don't want to remove them, but we have people who are currently removing their tonsils because of tonsil stones.
Yikes.
And it's because they're sticking their fingers back there, they're getting secondary infections.
Sure.
And so for us, we're really trying to create an option not only for the people who are about to go get a tonsillectomy and prevent them from doing that, but also to give people who, let's say they have one once a month or maybe a few times a year, we want to give them options that have dignity, and it's so important to us to move this forward.
I love that, and also it feels like this was made for Reddit. So any questions for, yes, Roger? $37.99?
Oh, okay, that's a great question. So we're still figuring out how to get our prices down. At this point in time, our 3D printed products are about $2 or less per piece. And then some of our other products as well, we're expecting it to be about $10 in total. So we'll have about $25 of margin.
Great. And yes? What is the life cycle? How many times can you use it? How long does it last?
That's a great question. So we're still early stage and we are prototyping at this point. So we haven't done our use testing yet about is this going to be reusable 5 or 10 times, or is it going to be disposable? It really comes down to the different resin reduction strategies that we're able to employ in order to bring that pricing down.
Great, that's great. And then I guess you could just make it a subscription if you need to. It's like every 90 days, here comes your new tool. Any other questions from the audience? Yes, in the back. Do you have any liability concerns with people sticking this thing down their throat?
We will definitely have product liability insurance, but actually one of the main pieces, which I did miss in my presentation, I'm sorry, was that we do not have any sharp parts that can cause bleeding or any small parts that can cause choking hazards. So currently what's being sold on Amazon, it's water picks that can cut your tonsils, it's earwax removers that have small parts that are choking hazards, and then there are pimple poppers, all these things that should not be in the back of your throat. So we've actually designed an anti-choking hold so that no one can drop it back down there on accident. So we're really trying to make this foolproof, but please know that like people are putting bobby pins back there, so we're trying to do anything but that. No chopsticks, please.
I mean, when you're desperate, you're desperate. Do I have one last question from the audience? Anything from oh, Jen, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I don't know if you guys could see that online, but it has a wrist strap, so you don't like drop it down the road. And I just thought of my children and the Wii controller and wrist strap. Anyway, I wanted you all know that there's a wrist strap on it.
I do feel like your marketing is going to be just fire. You're going to be able to just do the craziest stuff with this thing. I'm really excited to see where you go. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. We have one question in the
sure.
theater.
One more question in the theater.
Hey, theater here. What a great product, and talk about boosting self-esteem. My question is, how do you keep the engagement? I hope it solves the problem, but is it a subscription-based like a Quip product, or does it have a full lifetime cycle on it?
So it doesn't have a full life cycle, like you wouldn't use it necessarily for the next 5 years, but we will figure out how many times people can use it. It could potentially be subscription, but we haven't gotten that far yet in figuring out that process. But tonsil stones do come back on a regular basis for people, and so yes, this is most oftentimes a lifelong problem unless someone decides to get a tonsillectomy. So,
okay, great. Yep. Best of luck.
Great.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. Great question.
Thank you.
Well done. Tonsil stones, the earwigs of the tonsils. Am I right? God, I did not I am not going to sleep tonight, so thank you so much for that, Sydney. All right, my friends, our final early stage company, Yes OMS, Taylor Mahoney from Bend, Oregon, a platform for merchants and brand owners to offer a superior user experience to their customers through their own branded mobile application. Taylor, I'm so excited to see you again. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Come on up here. Take it away.
How's everyone doing?
Great.
All right, good. All right, 2020 has been a tough year for merchants. A global pandemic has basically rewritten the rules for in-person commerce, as well as threatening the extinction of those either unwilling or unable to innovate. Add to that merchants are competing with large chains that have big teams, big budgets, and sticky brands established. It's a difficult landscape, to be sure. For example, did you know in 2019, Starbucks did over 40% of their $26.5 billion in revenue via their branded mobile app? Not their website, not their mobile website, it's the Starbucks app. It's a pretty amazing customer experience, to be sure. It has an integrated payment system, so it allows their customers to order ahead, pay ahead, skip the line, grab their coffee, and be on their way. With 24.3 million users, the Starbucks app is the most prolific digital wallet in the United States today. It's bigger than Apple Pay. It's bigger than Google Pay. In the rest of the world, it's not exactly the same story. Digital wallets are quickly eclipsing both cards and cash as the preferred payment method. And digital wallets basically represent the largest innovation in payments since the invention of the cash register in 1879, and they are the future of in-person commerce. In 2020, merchants need new tools for providing incredible customer experiences, for accepting payments without cards and cash, and for understanding, adapting, and optimizing their in-store workflows. They need to be able to create brand stickiness with skip-the-line sorts of experiences, and they need to focus on delighting their customer instead of just having their staff mindlessly keying in orders to a point-of-sale system. The opportunity for disruption is ripe. If you're wondering if all this is possible today, I'm here to say the answer is yes. Yes OMS is the future of the magical customer experience at scale. We're driving the cashless, cardless, touch-free, skip-the-line, grab-it-and-go experiences of the future. We offer basically something similar to a white-label version of the Starbucks app that's easily brandable by merchants or digital marketing agencies. You can kind of think of us as a Squarespace, but instead of helping people to build websites, we're helping them to build commerce-enabling native mobile apps in just minutes with no technical expertise required. We have solutions for self-service models like coffee shops and drive-thrus, for full-service models like restaurants and pubs, as well as for geographically co-located merchants like food truck parks and events. Yes OMS allows any in-person merchant to dramatically drive revenue while remaining digitally relevant and innovative. My name is Taylor Mahoney, and I'm the founder of Yes OMS. I'm a seasoned product veteran, most recently having worked at PayPal in the international money transfer space. I've built a team of 5 employees, as well as an advisory team of over 10 industry experts in payments, design, digital marketing, branding, security, and compliance, as well as subject matter experts in food, coffee, beer, and wine industries. Yes OMS is currently pre-revenue. We have a working MVP, and we're working with local merchants to learn, validate, and to adjust. Branded apps are just the beginning. Our vision is a consolidated ecosystem where merchants protect their most valuable asset, the repeat customer. So if you're wondering if commerce will be different in the future, and if merchants can not only survive but thrive in a COVID or post-COVID era, the answer is yes with Yes OMS.
Awesome, Taylor. It's so good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
I love your pitches. I think you're just an excellent presence.
Why, thank you, Shannon.
It's great to have you.
Nice to see you too.
Thank you. Jen, I think you have a question.
I do. Thanks. Thank you. I have an MBA with a corporate finance concentration from Columbia, and I still willingly turn $50 over to Starbucks like every 3. I mean, this makes literally no sense, right? That they get the float. So what happens with your app? Do you get the float? Like, are you taking cash from people? Like, where does the cash go?
Where does the cash go? Like, what's the revenue model? Perfect. So yeah, basically this is a branded app that is available to any merchant. And because merchants are, you know, the biggest group of people working at a company, the most expensive group is the developers. And the developers it's not like a website. It's where you build it once and then you're done. The developers have to constantly maintain mobile apps. So what we do is we don't charge anything up front to the merchants. You can actually go on a website right now, build.yesoms.com, and build your own app. For those of you at home, go to another tab, build.yesoms.com, start building your apps. And what we do is we take a percentage of each transaction that's done on the platform.
So a transaction, or like when I load, because this is a payment thing, right? Like I'm paying the merchant using their branded app.
Mm-hmm.
So when I load $50 into the Deschutes Brewery app,
right? It's a little bit different than that.
Okay.
A little bit different. I'm so glad you asked that question because I'm sure others have that same exact question. So you don't load anything on the app. So what we're doing is basically all the points of sale system are looking at this from a payments point of view. We're looking at it from a customer experience point of view. So now instead of having the Starbucks app, you'll have the cafe, the Palette app. That's a local coffee shop here in town. Or the Back Porch Coffee app, right? And so you'll actually go onto there, you'll choose what you're going to have, and you'll just pay with your thumbprint. And at that point, we actually do the payment, and then it's already there for you to pick up.
Okay, got it. So I funded a startup by a guy who had been Groupon's #1 territory salesperson for Portland for a number of years. Do you guys remember Group?
It's still a thing, isn't it?
It is.
Is it?
I think it's still a thing.
Did they raise $1 billion so these people like this guy could walk around and knock on the door of every single local restaurant, bar, dry cleaner, clothing store, and ask them to sign up for this app, right? It was an incredibly expensive model to scale. So how do you get, businesses to sign up for the platform without hiring a Groupon-sized sales force?
Great question. So basically we have, our model is kind of a gamification style. So what we're going to do is we're offering basically a customer experience model that then those customers that have this amazing experience can go recruit and are incentivized to recruit new merchants. And the fact that it's completely done, that merchants can do this themselves, means that we don't have to walk them through an extended process to build their own app. They go to a website, they put in colors and logos and menu items and that sort of thing. So basically it'll catch on. And we'll do our traditional marketing push as well. But the real power will be in the network effect of the fact that more people that get used to this customer experience have an amazing experience. We can say, hey, you had a great experience at this particular brand. Now take it over here to another one and help us to sell it to them.
Okay, Nitin has a question.
So I have a two-part question. So, going on the vein of what Jen just asked. So, okay, so somehow they find you, they create their app. Then what assistance are you providing them to promote it to their customers? What are they going to do? Are they going to put a little card or?
That's a great question. Yeah. So, sorry. Did you have the second part?
I had a second part. I'll wait. Well, why don't you answer this one?
Okay, sure. So yeah, basically the app is the end goal, obviously, and so we're partnering with a digital marketing firm that will help us to strategize and provide services to those merchants that may need assistance. But we're really looking to the merchant to basically, every merchant wants to say, hey, we are digitally relevant. We are digitally, we're part of the future of commerce. So it'll be up to them to continue to market that themselves. And any merchant, if given the chance to say, hey, we have an app that you can purchase our goods, they're going to be very motivated to put those dollars towards the flyers or the whatever marketing they look to do.
Okay, so the next part question is around the transaction. So So I downloaded an app. I go to my favorite pizza place. I order my pizza through the app, and then how are you? So you charge a transaction fee. What does that look like? And am I putting my credit card number in? Are you connected to a bank or a processor?
Sure. Good questions. Yeah.
What's
So.
the net out of that?
Yeah, so basically we are leveraging many tools that have already been built, namely Apple Pay and Google Pay. And so you can already pay for things with your thumbprint with Apple Pay and Google Pay. So, and to do that, you would put in a card through the iPhone device, right? So basically, you've done that work up front. We can help you through it if you need assistance as a customer, but that's digital wallets are going to be, like Apple Pay and Google Pay, will basically take over credit cards. You can, in the near future, you'll be able to add Apple Pay right to your bank account. You can pay through ACH, that sort of thing as well. So the customer experience is that you sit down and really, from your own point of view, you sit down, you order what you want to have, and you put your thumbprint on the little thing, and it shows up. Now, there's also added benefits in that now the merchant has their brand in your pocket. So we can provide, push notifications. We can provide up to the second updates, as to how your order is being done. We can offer, all sorts of different, incentives. We can have a full-on, MVPs, or you could have your VIP, folks offer them a new beer or a new pizza line or whatever. Basically, you can do direct-to-consumer marketing in a way that you haven't been able to do ever before.
What do you charge the merchant? What is the transaction fee for the merchant?
Transaction fee for the merchant. We're still figuring out the model on that, but it would be something around the same, in the same ballpark as the credit card transaction fee.
Like 2.5%?
Yeah, correct. And then we're looking to work with, we actually have a payment processor that wants to work with us so we could actually absorb that credit card processing fee and just make it one.
And do your merchants have to upload their entire menu? Like if someone has a really extensive menu, are they adding that into the app?
Yeah, so merchants that have really extensive menu items may not benefit from an app because you're going to be scrolling over and over and over. But this is like a low SKU and with a repeat customer that you're trying to target. So coffee is like a perfect explanation. And the other thing about it's personalized, exactly. And the thing about this is that once you've customized your coffee order, let's say you're getting the double espresso, extra fat, no latte, no milk, whatever, you save that, and then you can go back and order that with one tap. So it's basically you've customized your experience, and consumers are really expecting a customized experience these days. You've customized that, and then it makes it really easy, little to zero friction to order that same thing again.
So like the salted caramel bone broth latte.
Exactly.
That's my favorite. Question.
What tools on an app? What does the merchant experience actually look like in terms of order fulfillment? So how would it integrate in with their existing point of sale system, and then say they've got Grubhub and they've got Uber Eats, all such like.
How does it integrate for the merchant? How do they receive the orders? How does it factor into their POS? How does it work alongside other apps, other services?
Great question. So it's OMS, and the OMS stands for Order Management System. So basically what we are providing is a merchant dashboard. So you think of the little pieces of paper that go down the line, we're virtualizing that. So instead of saying, well, where are we in the line? Where are you? And you can swipe to move that along. You can also have different players, fulfilling different roles in the workflow. So that's the experience for a merchant. And then, remind me the second half of your question.
Well, it was basically, how would you sit along point of sale and then say?
Where do you sit in the point of sale process?
Okay, great. Thank you. So we basically, when it comes to like a Grubhub or an Uber Eats, we're not focusing on delivery. The delivery market is saturated. And then how do we work with points of sale system? The truth of the matter is that everyone who's a merchant is scared to death of their point of sale system, right? They don't understand it. It's a black box. And they feel like that it has to integrate. Everything has to integrate to their point of sale system. But I'm here to question that. I'm here to say, why does it need to integrate to your point of sale system? If you know what's coming in and you have accurate data and you have a very nice report, we can outport something, sure. But if the money's going into the bank account, which is what this is designed to do, goes right to the bank account, why would you need your point of sale system? It may be helpful for inventory, but I can tell you, having done the research that I've done, very few merchants actually keep track of how many tomatoes they have in the tomato bin because of their point of sale system.
Do you have anybody who's using it?
We are in a private beta right now, and so yes, we have a couple of folks that are kicking the tires and telling us what they think, and that should be wrapping up soon. And we've just brought on 2 folks, one in biz dev and marketing, and then one in sales, and they're going to be going out there. If anyone online or here knows of a merchant that wants to join our private beta, I'd be happy to talk to them.
Cool, very cool. Any questions from the audience?
We have one in the theater.
Great, we'll take that theater question and we will answer it.
So with this app, you're inherently decreasing the customer interaction with the person working there. How much do you think a customer should tip as a result?
So that's a great question. Ironically, we're actually looking to promote the relationship with the server. So basically, every server will have their own version of the app. It'll be on the merchant side. And you actually can get to having a social interaction to a certain degree with your server. You can learn what their interests are, how many people they're serving. It's a very personalized, think of like social media. It's a very personalized experience, and you can actually learn about that person and find out how their day's going and interact with them. So we actually don't see it as reducing dependency or interaction with the servers. It's actually going to provide more. The other point I'll make is that the server, instead of just carrying food, which is their job, they are also the head of the customer service experience. So what you're doing is you're allowing them to focus on the customer experience, not to key in, would you like fries with, not to do the data entry, but to focus on having a meaningful interaction with their customers. As for tipping, the current model that we have in place is that it'll basically be, everyone kind of self-identifies as a certain level of a tipper, right? So I do about 18 to 20%. So that'll be my average tip. And if I don't do anything, that tip will be automatically applied. So it's basically turning tipping on its head. It's saying, if you're an average tipper and you have an experience that is similar to what you would expect, the tip just gets rolled right in. So instead of saying, well, that was really good service, I'm going to tip extra, we're trying to encourage people to tip more just because servers are amazing people and they deserve your tips.
Nitin's back. I just wanted to call everyone's attention. It was a little dicey for a second there. He went very small and then he disappeared. He's back.
My background was corrupted.
Got very worried.
Thank you, Dr. Fieldhouse, for pointing that out. So.
Jen, any more questions for you? Any more questions from the audience? Any more questions from the theater? All right, Taylor,
Great.
It's great to have you.
Thank
Good
you so
luck.
much, guys.
All right, my friends, let's vote. Thank you again, Portland Seed Fund, for the valuable $30,000 investment that you're making. You've upped the game for our early stage finalists. Thank you. For our early stage finalists. Once again, we will be voting for BVC finalists electronically tonight. So you're going to take out your phone. You will go to edcoinfo/vote. You must select 3 companies to submit your vote. Voting will remain open for 3 minutes. Ready, set, vote. If you need assistance, raise your hand, and that goes for people in the theater as well. And I want to say thank you to Corey Allen and team here, the team here from Columbia Bank for making the mobile voting possible. This is an awesome way for us to be able to do this. Again, you must select 3 companies in order for this to work. I don't know how you're going to choose just 3, because this was an incredible lineup.
Yeah, I have to say, this is either the 3rd or the 4th or some year that I have been here. And this has been the most remarkable group of 10 companies. And it just has been a phenomenal experience. And all of you who came tonight, you were so lucky that you got to see such bright, shining stars.
I agree.
And I do this for a living. I only listen to companies pitch. This is all we do. Nitin knows. And this was just an extraordinary collection of people. So I'm so grateful to everybody who took the time to go through this process and put their company out there, and to all of you for coming and being supportive of them. And it's just adding a lot of richness to this process, which I know will end in us making an investment in 1 or more of the companies, but I have been so honored to hear from all 10 of them.
It's so well said.
It's just really
I
been
know,
amazing.
I know, I feel the same way.
And thank you for staying for an extra hour, everybody who was here an hour later than they thought they would be, because it was worth it, right?
It was worth it.
It was so worth it.
I'm so glad that you said that, because I feel like every single one of these companies is going to be successful. We're going to be seeing more from them. I mean, is anybody getting like a total charge when the suitcase lights up? I'm like, oh my God. It just lit up.
I'd like to add, just resound what Jen said. This was super impressive. And I've been frantically linked inning with many of these folks that are presenting. So sometimes when I would lean back, I was actually trying to connect with them. I'm super impressed with everybody. Some folks I know that presented, some I probably met a year ago, and I'm really impressed with the progress that they've made. So great job, BVC, and thank you, Jen, and Portland Seed Fund for stepping up in the game. Elevate is in the process of closing its next fund. So maybe in about a month or so, we'll have money to spend. So hopefully we'll be talking to many of these folks.
It's awesome. Well, Nitin and Jen, you both are just add so much to the program, and it's really an honor to be up here and share the stage with you. So while the votes are coming in, I'd like to say just a few words about the upcoming Bend Venture Conference. It is 3 weeks from today. Team Edco, you got this, okay? Call me, Aaron, if you need to. It's in its 17th year. Over $11 million have been deployed into 38 companies over the past 6 years. $11 million in 6 years is absolutely incredible. Has had multiple exits for its investors. BVC has had 5 exits so far. Those exits have returned about 4 times cash across the portfolio. 3 BVC briefs will take place on the stage at this conference. More than 1 company from each track will be invested in. There will be discounted tickets to BVC for Edco members. Join now. You'll save $70 a ticket. I also want to announce a couple of upcoming events not to miss. Edco had a very successful Made in Bend watch party at the end of August, and Ready is going to, this is REDI, is going to do the same. The Made in Redmond tour is October 2nd at the Deschutes County Fairgrounds. And don't forget to mark your calendars for BVC, October 15th and 16th in downtown Bend. And it's pretty much taking over the whole town. So how are we doing on our 3 minutes of voting? Are we getting close? Are we getting close? How's it looking in the theater? Kelsey, are people's heads down? Are they starting to look around? I'm like, who's it going to be? I have to say I will actually be completely shocked who the 5 winners are, because you all did really amazing. And I want to also say, like, it's such a range. Like, Masa Fresh, it's so lovely that it's a tech company, but at the same time, it's like very human and it's very real and it's very like, I appreciate it so much. This is like such a cool range of things. Forgive my earwig joke. Sydney, I couldn't resist. It was like, how often do you get to make 2 earwig jokes in one night? Like, not very often. Okay, I also do, let's see, are we close, Aaron? How close are we on voting? Can we tell? Has anybody been timing? 3 minutes? It seems like it's been 3 minutes, right? We're close? Okay, there's a piece of paper coming up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and shamelessly plug myself. Why not? You enjoyed your time with me tonight, yes? Yeah? Okay, very good. So I produce, thank you. I produce a show called The Nightlight Show with Shannon Kelly, a magnificent guest. It is a live, community-based, variety-style comedy show. We feature artists, community stars, musicians, we do interviews, we make short films, we have all kinds of just like random wacky stuff that happens, sponsored giveaways, and we're doing a live stream show next Friday, October 2nd. The tickets are on sale now. They're offered on sliding scale, so we have some free tickets, we have a mid-range at $10, and then we have a $20 supporter ticket. So if you buy that higher end ticket, if that's comfortable for you, we'll be able to unlock another free ticket for someone who needs a good laugh. So I hope you'll check it out. It is thenightlightshow.com. We are at The Nightlight Show on Instagram and Facebook, and I would love to see some of you there. In fact, I would love to see all of you there, though I will be in a computer, so technically I'll just like see you in the chat. Okay, how close are we on voting?
They're working on something right now.
They're working. What is
Yes.
that? What exactly does that mean? Like, is
I-
it
you know,
Legos? Like,
it is.
what do we?
There's some tallying still
Some
going
tallying,
on.
okay,
Yes.
are they-
Hey, Shannon, who's helping you with that, by the way?
Yes, so that's a great question, Matt. My friend Matt Han will be helping me next Friday. In fact, we have a phone call tomorrow at 9 a.m. Matt and I watched a comedy show online recently, and like the sound was horrible, and he was like, "Don't worry, your show's gonna be great." And I was like, "Cool, thanks, Matt."
Yeah.
Actually, I am. Should we just have our meeting now? I'm like, so I have a question about interview number
I
3.
think that would be kind of. I think there's probably an entire room on the other side that has no idea what's even going on right now.
Right, like more tots, please.
Hey, I'm good with that.
Yeah,
We
sweet
could-
potato fries.
Yeah, we could do a little stand up right now.
I know. Well, I'm just like, so earwigs, guys. How you doing about earwigs? I love when people are like, oh, you're a comedian, so just tell some jokes. Who was everyone's favorite performer tonight? Or performer? Oh!
That's an easy one, Shannon. Of course,
Thanks,
it was
guys.
you.
Oh gosh, now I'm gonna start blushing. What pitches did you really love? What surprised you tonight? I feel like I learned a lot about things that I didn't know. I learned a lot from Jen, just like standing next to her. I'm like, my brain's getting bigger just standing next to that lady. But anybody have any like standouts from tonight? Who was shocked by tonsil stones? Shocking. And then who was like, oh, I know someone who needs that. Yeah. Maybe a few of us. What about
We
who's
just don't
ready
want to raise our hand, Shannon. That's
This is like sending a text like, I saw something you might like. Who would shop at massafresh.com and do this virtual farm? Yeah, right? It's so, I love that you said that people shared that the produce is like such a much higher quality than anything you could ever get at the store, because once you switch over to food that is like grown by a small farmer and is really cared for, like there is no going back. There is no going back. Yeah, it's such a powerful change to make in your life, and such a cool relationship to build too. And like Central Oregon farmers, huge props to these people, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we live on rocks. It's not like easy to grow in rocks. I know we have like a 2-month growing season. I don't know how they're doing it, but we've got some of the best squash in the country. I'm sure of it. I will like throw money down on that. Any other highlights, things that shocked you from tonight that you loved? You guys are so well behaved. Usually like this night, so like usually it's just like shoulder to shoulder, there's like people everywhere, just sharing germs all the time, and like tonight it's just everyone's like, yes, this is so good. Everyone seems hydrated. I'm not seeing any like drunkenness. Usually there's like a mass of people behind the doors just like wow, 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 but none of that this has been very lovely. I could bring my mother to this event. She would not be overwhelmed at all. That's really saying something. Matt, who's with you tonight? Who'd you bring on your team? Oh, I can't see a thing past like the 3 people right here. I was like, I'm actually all night I've been like, that's the light at the end of the 2020. Like we will make it. You know, flowers keep blooming, babies are born, people are pitching companies. We're gonna keep living. Matt, who'd you bring with you tonight?
Who did I bring with me? I brought my somebody I've known since, let's see, he was a sophomore in high school. He's now a graduate of film school, Colin Dallas over there.
Yeah,
yes. And somebody that has recently joined us, because unfortunately he usually had sort of almost a full-time gig, but because we can't do events, I brought him, and that's Nathan over there, Nathan Wagner.
Nathan.
Nathan's running my audio, which has been a great thing tonight. Absolutely. So they're still tallying.
They're still tallying.
They're still tallying.
How do we feel? Does anyone have any hunch, like for sure you think so-and-so is going to get it? I know, I just like, I can't stop obsessing about the future even though it's literally 2 minutes away. I'm excited. It's a lot of money. I know, you're like, I think all of them should win. Yeah, I think everybody did great. Everybody should get some money. Jen is back. Did you talk to your daughter about the dancing?
No. Oh my God.
Did you block her?
Nope.
You're just like, I need a break.
Mommy is busy right now.
How many kids do you have?
I have 3. They are 11, 9, and 9.
Are they all daughters?
No, I have twin boys and a daughter.
Twin boys and a daughter.
Yeah, I do have. It's funny because usually there's 400 of you in here.
That's what I was just saying. It's like usually quite sweaty at this point.
So there's so few. I feel like we could just sit here without the mics and just chat.
I know, it's very intimate, and they're very well behaved, aren't they?
They are.
They're quite engaged. Everyone's very nice. No one's.
But who would like to see 400 people back in this room again this time next year, right?
Do you think it's possible? Like if I had a crystal ball and you were to look into it, what would you say?
I don't know, man. It's been a long 6 months. I will say it's been interesting. So just wave, Aaron, when it's time to shut up. But we have seen all kinds of COVID companies come across our desk in the last 6 months, and some of them are so exciting. And if they have, there's a company in the Pacific Northwest, and I'll be very vague, who's working on a test that they could sell to the state of Oregon for $4 a pop. Does anyone know how much the state of Oregon pays for a COVID test today?
A lot.
The answer is $70.
Yeah.
So $4 would make a massive difference in how quickly we could test people and track things down.
And then and how many times you could get tested.
Yes,
right?
and then there's another company that is also in the Pacific Northwest, I'll be vague, who's working on solutions for hospitality, for nursing homes, for folks where there are lots of people touching lots of things and making it much faster for them to determine the presence of COVID in their building. That's going to make a huge difference in schools. It's going to make a huge difference in long-term care facilities. And again, that's coming. It's going to be cost effective, and it'll get across the line. Viruses are not new. We can come up with smart ways to control this one. So I am hopeful. From where I sit, I am hopeful.
Anything coming across your desk for people who specialize in live events? I have the Tower Theater booked. I have over 400 tickets sold. They can allow 100 people. Can you make that magic happen? Nobody can. It's really something. Okay, my friends, the future has arrived. How excited are you for this? Are we ready? 5 finalists heading to BVC, going on to pitch on the big stage in front of 100 people. Adhere Gear. Congratulations, Robert. I would have been disappointed if you didn't get it. Okay, number 2, Kozera. Congratulations. Number 3, Masa Fresh. Congratulations. And number 4, Must Deliver.
Oh, Carrie.
And number 5, our friend Taylor from Bend, Yes OMS. And I am not done yet. I do have an audience. This is the one lucky BVC finalist who gets to take home $3,000 tonight. This is the audience choice, and that $3,000 is going home with Masa Fresh. Oh, I love your reaction so much. I hear a giant thank you is in order to both Portland Seed Fund and Elevate Capital for stepping up not only to judge tonight, but also for backing the cash award that you got to decide. Thank you, Jen. It's just awesome. Okay, so congratulations, Masa Fresh. Not only Kozera, Must Deliver, Yes OMS, Adhere Garrett, not only do you get to move on to the big BVC stage, but Masa, you get to take home that money to put some food in your fridge or get some kale and do the kale sampler platter that you were talking about. You can do that all week long. All right, finalists, please come to the stage for a masked, socially distanced photo. This is still very exciting. Okay, so the 5 of you, Adhere Gear, Kozera, Masa, Must Deliver, Yes OMS, put on your mask, get on up here. We're going to take a picture of you standing awkwardly away from each other. Okay. Where do you want them? Yeah, how do you want this, Aaron? Okay, we're going to do it afterwards. So just mill around for a little bit. All right, my friends, thank you all for coming, for rooting on these 10 early stage companies. Do you need it? Thank you for voting to send these 5 hardworking companies to the BVC stage, and thank you for the cash for Masa Fresh. Good night, everyone. Get home safe, stay healthy. We'll see you in 3 weeks at BVC. Give each other a little extra space as you're leaving, okay? Take care of each other, take care of yourselves. I will see you next time. Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
Can I be included in the picture? I'm virtual. Bummer.
I think they were going to include us.
Were they going to include us?
I think you should stay online. You know,
Okay,
they might
I'll
include
stay.
us. I'm trying to get my lighting fixed.
I wish I would have had better lighting.
You have much better lighting than I do.
Oh. I think it's the wood behind me. It's like so nice.
Oh, it looks fine. Like, it looks fine to me. It looks great.
Okay. So we actually know Chris Carlson. Both of us have him in common. I'm working with him as a mentor.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I connected with you. Have you talked to Ben? Not here?
What's that?
My associate Ben. Have you
I
talked
love
to
Ben. Ben. So
No, I'm talking about my associate Ben.
Yeah, no, I love Ben.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I've connected with him, and we were super early when I connected with him. In fact, Ben was the one who connected me with Chris.
Oh, great. Okay.